Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things. Walk up the river by my son. Feet step over.
Welcome. 1 second. Can we just quickly get a tiny bit of tech stuff out of the way super early? Is everything working? I'm going to click through a couple of buttons here. Just drop me an F if it's working. That's good. You can all see Time Magazine, right? Okay, so we're not actually going to look at the entire magazine. This came out earlier on in the summer. I'm talking fast. I'm trying to get it out of the way. Do you know what I mean? Trying to do multiple heads here. I think it would be amazing, like in the future, if someone else could do the tech. Actually, even better. I think I'd be a bit more comfortable if I were doing the tech and someone else were doing the talking. But yeah, you know where I'm going with it. Hey, welcome everyone. How's it all going? So today we're going to be looking at this thing that dropped from a magazine some of you might have heard of. It's called Time Magazine. They decided to do an actual special this summer, the Autism special. It's no longer on sale. I did buy a copy. And in the spirit of copyright fair use, we're not actually going to be looking through the entire thing, but looking at some of the excerpts from it. Notably, A Mother's Story is on page 90. We will be getting to it. We'll be getting to Mother's Story. It always makes me laugh, by the way, the whole kind of like, yeah, sorry, it doesn't make me laugh all the time. Sometimes it makes me cry. Hello, Isabella. Hello, Nikki Bishop. Yes, welcome to the ADHD side of the channel. Yes, thank you for executively functioning for me. Not all streams are like this. And what are the other catchphrases? What other catchphrases have we got going on here on the channel? Fuck Autism Speaks. That's one of them. At least it should be. Yes, this is a special edition of Time Magazine. It says special at the top left. It's really hard to see because it's in like, I'm doing an eye test, bottom row, but it says special up there. Special for needs. Tea for everybody. Tea for everyone. Well, there is some autistic people's stories in here. But obviously the main aspect here is A Mother's Story. I'm actually looking forward to it. I know I haven't read it. This is not wise, but do you know something? I am really looking forward to the time when I only have to worry about YouTube. Right now I've got so many things going on in life and it literally just feels like also an all sides thing. And, well, here we are. Let's get on with it. El Moonlight, when will we get a story from the child on an autism mom? It's a really good question. Never. Not in Time Magazine anyway. But we'll see. I'm interested to see what their new research and new knowledge is all about. Because I've been following autism research for 2 years now. I've read everything pretty much. If in the last 2 years, I'm trying to like catch up, but I'm trying to keep pace. Do you know when a really good series drops on Netflix or something? Other streaming services are available, including YouTube. And then you watch the current stuff, but you also have to watch some of the back catalogue. It's a bit like there's some really good D&D tabletop campaigns on YouTube that you can watch, but like the only way to watch them is to kind of catch up to date and then go back and then watch all of the old stuff. So it's kind of where we're at with this. Okay, let's have a little look, people. Let's see if this works. I might be able to make it bigger, but some of the print's pretty small. I will read it. I've got a massive copy here, so we can do the thing. We can do the thing. Okay. The headphones. Actually, what are they? What headphones are they? Can I zoom in? I want to know what brand they are. They're actually headphones rather than ear defenders. Okay. All right, I don't know. They look way too big for the kids' ears. You know what I'm saying? Like those headphones are like oversized headphones. Maybe that's the sign for autism. Maybe the autism logo should be a massive fucking pair of headphones on a very, very small head. No, I'm saying this as someone with massive ears, and actually having over-the-head earphones, really difficult. Shoika's got a weighted blanket. Everyone should try one. I'm excited for you. Okay, cool. Contents. Right, we're going to go through this in a bit. Right, first of all, what is autism? Can I make this bigger? It's ridiculous size print. Like, it's really silly. No, like, it makes no difference if I do that, so I may as well stay on the screen, but it's there. I'll read it to you, because some of you might not know what autism is. Let's see what Time Magazine says autism is. As understanding of the disorder deepens and care improves, we see more clearly... Is care actually improving, by the way? I don't know, just... Okay. We see more clearly what we do not yet know. By David Blurkley. In the span of a generation, a sea change has occurred in our awareness and understanding of autism. Advances have been made in early diagnosis. The most important bit. Intervention options have expanded. This is the most important shit here. School curricula tailored for students with autism have been commonplace. Popular culture reflects this growing awareness. Memoirs, play films, and TV tell the stories of individuals with autism. Badly, I would say. I would love to put a little asterisk in there and go, yes, not very well. I mean, there's a few good examples, but there's way more bad ones. There's some... This is how... I think this magazine's going to be wild. Which has broadened and deepened the public conversation on mental health and well-being. Mental health and well-being is very, very important, although it's worth pointing out for those that aren't aware, autism is not a mental illness, okay? Just dropping that out here. Hey, Zed Shrink and hey, Jansen and everyone else. Apologies. My eyes are on this rather wild article. Okay, that's one way to start an article, I suppose. This heightened awareness is welcome, but it doesn't mean there is universal acceptance of individuals with autism. And in far too many cases, the awareness hasn't translated into easier lives for those individuals or their families. The amount of research that's gone into understanding the complexity of autism is enormous, says Cynthia Martin, senior psychologist at the Autism Center of the Child Mind Institute in New York. We know a lot more about autism now than we did 20, 30 years ago. But as she adds, it's sort of the learning curve that also makes it clear how much we do not yet know about the condition. The term autism was coined in 1911 by the Swiss psychiatrist Eugene Bleuler. Am I saying that right? To describe a symptom of schizophrenia, a term Bleuler also coined. Pioneers in the study of the disorder in the 1930s and 40s included Leo Kanner in the United States and Hans Asperger in Austria. It was not until the 1960s, however, that the term acquired its current behavioural associations. That's kind of valid in a weird way. It's true that the way autism is understood right now, as we all speak right now, as we are here, the way it's understood right now is very much a 1960s thing. As a scientific understanding of autism progressed, perception of the disorder and its treatment were shaped by a variety of societal factors. And yet answers to fundamental questions about what causes autism and why its prevalence is rising remain frustratingly incomplete. Okay. The actual thing about prevalence, it's like we can have a conversation about the prevalence of autism being actually a very, very mild increase over time, mostly in the population of those with intellectual disabilities. We can actually have a really interesting conversation about why that is. I've got some ideas, but I feel like it's not even a safe conversation to have because we can't have an intellectually honest conversation about whether or not autism is, increasing or not because of that whole flipping curve. The rates of, diagnosis. I wasn't on those numbers officially a few years ago. Yeah. I must have acquired my autism from someone. One of you gave it to me. Must be. Research shows that, blah, blah, blah. Research shows that autism has a strong genetic basis. More than 100 different genes have been implicated, although its heritability is complex. Most cases are believed to be driven by interactions among multiple genes and the environment, including the prenatal environment. Environmental factors, small. Genetic factors, large. Just saying, okay? But it is true that it's not entirely genetic. Risk factors include parental age, maternal type 2, what was I going to say, diabetes? Sorry, let's scroll past the stock image here. Yep, diabetes and hypertension and prenatal exposure to infection. The current definition of autism spectrum disorder, according to the National Institutes of Health, is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. It is considered a developmental disorder because symptoms generally appear in the first 2 years of life, although later diagnosis is common. I love that sentence, but not for the reasons that you might think. If you've been hiding Tylenol in my PB&J's soup, they're safe because I've only ever had one PB&J in my life and it wasn't very nice, and it was on this stream. If you want to see it, scroll back a few months. No, the reason why I think that sentence is really, really weird is because it's like, it's considered a developmental disorder. It's like, oh, disorders, we take that for granted. Yes, those people are really fucked up and broken. Sarcasm. But the developmental portion is what we're going to qualify. The reason why it's called a developmental disorder is interesting, and that's because it's lifelong and, it's a developmental condition. And it's like, well, yes, and yes. Okay. The definition is broad. As Andriana Di Martino, MD, founding research director of Autism Center at the Child Mind Institute, notes, one of the major challenges to a deeper understanding of the underlying mechanisms of autism and its care is its striking ... variation among individuals. The medical community acknowledges that putting a fine point on what autism is and isn't is easier said than done, even when it comes to basic parameters. In 2013, the DSM was published, blah, blah, blah. Recognizing that severity affects type and intensity of treatment, the manual attempted to offer guidance. DSM-5 required all disorders to have severity levels, and so the committee came up with 3 levels, but as they stand, they don't often mean much. The intent behind establishing 3 levels was understandable, notes Lord, but fraught. Problems arise when assignment to a diagnostic level does not reflect the actual clinical needs of the individual or family. To use severity of social difficulties, or RRBIs, doesn't really work because expectations and needs, at least for different social behaviors, differ greatly across age and contexts, she says. Diagnosis can be controversial in other ways. We're getting to the point where we're thinking that anybody with an interpersonal challenge or anybody who has discomfort in social situations might be that way because they're autistic, says Martin. No one wants to miss a case of autism, but it is difficult to devise a test sensitive enough to capture all cases of autism and also specific enough to exclude cases that should have a different diagnosis. We are all on the same team in wanting to identify and help people who have autism, says Martin. Maybe that's true. Although what help is defined as is perhaps what we should talk about. And yet right now, we're overshooting on diagnosing cases at the very mild end of the spectrum. Okay. This is very American. So no offense to Americans in the audience. None is intended. Please don't take it. But like, this is a very sort of like American culture. I know Time Magazine is American, I get that. But it's very sort of American Psychiatric Association. It's very sort of disorder, identify, help, cure, treat, disorder, identify, intervention, treat, cure. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Autism probably doesn't really belong in a manual of psychiatric and mental disorders because it isn't one. That isn't to say that there aren't higher risks of anxiety, higher risks of depression, higher risks of suicidality and ideation, etc., etc. And that's not to say there aren't problems, okay? What I'm trying to say is that autism in and of itself is not a disease. It is not an illness. That is not controversial. No one will fight me on that. But it's in a manual of disorders. In fact, to be fair, the World Health Organization's classification, which they call the International Classification of Diseases, also lists autism, and autism is not a disease. And I think it's just in there because it kind of like, it suits to be in there because of coding purposes, as opposed to it's in there because it's a disease. Not everything in the ICD is a disease, and not everything in the DSM is an illness or disorder. As the broadening and blurring of diagnostic criteria, it continues, are also factors in prevalence numbers going up. True. According to data for the Centers of Disease Control, the prevalence figure now stands at 1 in 31 kids being diagnosed. It's always kids. That's actually not true. It isn't actually 1 in 31 kids. It's 1 in 31. In 2000, it was 1 in 150. A generation ago, diagnoses were distributed among various conditions: autism disorder, Asperger's syndrome, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, all of which could be accompanied with varying degrees of intellectual disability. All of which can be accompanied by varying degrees of all kinds of things, by the way. So when it comes to actually giving a diagnosis, it can come along with all manner of things. They can say with blah, 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 with blah, blah, without blah, blah, blah. They can kind of write what they want, actually, in that respect. A very young child might be diagnosed as PDD-NOS and then be given an autism diagnosis at school age and an Asperger's diagnosis at adolescence. I think that's unlikely. I think that's an unlikely path, but in theory. That doesn't mean these distinctions aren't real, Lord says, but it's also clear that some diagnoses are either more or less scary sounding than others. We won't be doing this with all of the articles, but I think this one's probably a worthwhile one to read, hey? Autism has come to be seen, at least in Western countries, as a preferred diagnosis, she says. Complicating things even further is the fact that autism is often correlated, comorbid, with other traits and conditions, including attention and anxiety disorders. Yay for the ADHD. Comorbidity may increase with age and make intervention and treatment more difficult. Because there are such high rates of co-occurring psychopathology, you have to be able to figure out basically where the autism starts, where the other condition begins, and then how do the two interact with one another, Martin says. True. Yes. Correct. In fact, also, I don't really think that's the big problem that they have, diagnosticians. I think the biggest issue that the diagnosticians have in that respect is PTSD and teasing apart trauma. a lot of autistic people have trauma, not because they're autistic, or kind of yes because they're autistic, but not because of autism. Teasing apart PTSD from CPTSD, whatever, from autism is kind of complex, and that's kind of why I say self-identification is valid, but also I wouldn't put you off if you want to see a good sort of non-overly pathological kind of psychologist, psychiatrist to help you tease out those differences. I found that helpful. I'd say probably about a third. If I were to kind of like try and reverse engineer it, I'd say probably about a third. I could be wrong here, but I think I'm right. I think about a third of the diagnostic session is kind of like trying to figure out whether or not where because certain autistic traits, features, and characteristics can be expressions of trauma as opposed to autism. So yeah, it gets complicated. There are other concerns about overdiagnosis for the most severely affected. It says, a growing advocacy effort led by parents. Holy shit. A growing advocacy effort led by parents aims to have a separate diagnostic category established called profound autism. There it is! It's on page 7, and bearing in mind some of these pages are just pictures, so it's kind of like page 3. A growing advocacy effort led by parents. Obviously led by parents. Actually, just 2 parents, really. Both featured on my channel in previous videos. If you want to know the issue with profound autism, I have a video on it. This diagnosis, says Martin, would serve individuals who have been largely left out of the public conversation surrounding autism. These are individuals who have very limited verbal skills, need round-the-clock support, and are potentially prone to self-injurious behaviour, she says. Such individuals are often left out of research. Honestly, I'll carry on. Quote, these kids are difficult to enroll in research studies, Martin adds. There are significant barriers, and yet we need more funding and attention to that group specifically because they have the highest level of needs. And I think it is absolutely fair to say that no one is here drawing bridges and moats and going, this is my autism, you can't have autism because I have to have it all, whatever. This is weird gatekeeping, isn't particularly common, I think, in the autism community, and I think we can all be proud about that. The problem that we've got here regarding being left out of research is that research into autism from around, the 1950s, 1960s, particularly 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, it's nearly exclusively the group of institutionalized or institutionalized adjacent folks. And it says here that it's difficult to enroll those quote-unquote kids, because it's always kids, in research studies. Actually, no, it's not, because you know exactly where they are. You can literally go to them and go get them at the coffee mornings or whatnot. You can literally go to where they're at to do your studies. And that is exactly pretty much all that autism research has been. And it's been on children, mostly boys, mostly white, mostly in the US. I'm not criticizing any of those demographics for anyone who may be super oversensitive listening to me, but like it's just the way it is. That it has been. The autism research has been into a very, very narrow slice. Yes, it has been generally pointed at those with the highest needs. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But it has been to the detriment of everyone else, including those with high support needs, who just don't happen to be institutionalized or institutionalized adjacent. It's pretty sad. The history of autism research is very, very sad. And it isn't just a tragedy all the way. It goes up and down. If you were to read, Asperger wrote a long paper or a short book. It reads much better than the majority of the scientific literature over a lifetime from anyone if you were born in the 50s or 60s. Oops. It's it blows my mind how you can have a contemporary member of the Nazi Party writing a more realistic and balanced treatise on autism than the majority of the autism research literature for decades. It has to be said. I'm not trying to be like super woke about this. I'm just trying to say, like, things have gone all over the place. Refrigerator mothers have been blamed. In fact, we're coming around to another era of mother blaming as well right now, with the Tylenol stuff. But we've been here before, and it comes and goes. But the main issue, obviously, with the profound autism diagnosis, is it isn't labeling what people are as much as it's labeling what they're not. And it speaks largely to the fact that they have a quote-unquote IQ of less than 50 points. And usually IQ is not assessed at such levels. The extremes of the IQ curves, particularly the lower extreme, is usually just given. A psychologist or psychiatrist will just say. They may state their reasons, but it's not... No one's sitting down here and, little Timmy is not doing an IQ test. A psychiatrist is just saying, you have profound autism, you are profoundly autistic, on the basis of the fact that their IQ score is very low. Shiba dog with a brush writing number 1 on a piece of paper. Oh, that is a cute Shiba. Thank you so much for your super sticker, Evelyn. I really appreciate that. It is a super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You don't have to. And there's no there's no guilt here. What I was going to say, but I do now kind of rely on YouTube, and yeah, what a strange position to be in. I don't know if anyone needs a background on my background or not, but like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll carry on reading. There are significant barriers, Martin adds, and yet we need more funding and attention to that group, specifically because they have the highest level of needs. Well, I agree, but the reasons and the cause we don't agree on. And I'm right. I'm just don't want to come across as overly arrogant or anything, but Thank you so much, Tea Fairy. Second cup of tea. Ow, ow, ow. That one's super hot. That one can go here and cool down. Ooh, actually, it can go here. You can see the hydrate logo. Okay. Continuing. One of the many impacts that autism awareness has had on society is the ubiquitous use of the word spectrum. And while the metaphor of a spectrum reflects the diversity and graduations of symptoms within autism, it is an image that can lead to misunderstandings and oversimplifications. Yes, and your oversimplification is that it's a line from low to high. Yes, the spectrum communicates that there is going to be variation, Martin says, but the way the spectrum is usually interpreted is that it's linear. It goes from 0 to 10, from very mild to very severe. Thank you. But autism is more complicated than that. Think of the difference between an oven and a stovetop. An oven is set at a single temperature. It can be low or high, but it can't be 250 degrees and 500 degrees at the same time. But with a stovetop, you can have 4 burners, and you can have different combinations in which one burner is off, one is on high, one is on low, and one is in between. Autism is more like the stovetop. You're all like stovetops. This is the shittest analogy I've ever seen for autism spectrum. I don't want to be overly critical. I'm not trying to be rude here. I've never gone to stovetop. The color wheel, I think, is actually really good and works just perfectly. Actually, it actually works as an analogy. Most analogies die when you stretch them even slightly. And I'm trying to say, like, we don't have burners. We've got like little electric rings. And they sort of almost are on and off, really. But whatever. I guess if you cook with gas, then you can have like controlled fire, as Uncle Roger would say. Autism is more like the stovetop, where some symptoms may be mild, others more severe. Symptoms again. And yet others either in between or not present at all. What does the future hold? More research, certainly. I know this is a dream, offers Lord, but I would love to see autism have centres where researchers across the country would work together on studies to help us better address the heterogeneity. The variations in autism, my paraphrase. Di Martino envisages more research that allows doctors, quote, to identify those individuals who are more likely to respond to a given intervention, while also elucidating underlying mechanisms of change. As she sees it, I cannot underscore. I will read this differently. I would love to see autism have centres with researchers across the country that would work together on studies that would help us better address the variation in autism, to identify those individuals who are more likely to respond to a given intervention, while also elucidating underlying mechanisms of change. For targeting with drugs, presumably. As she sees it, my words, not hers. As she sees it, I cannot underscore the value of science, including basic science for progress. Oh yeah, sure. I don't know why I'm cynical. I don't know where I got that from. Just... There are many things yet to be discovered about autism, some of which can only be anticipated today. Our societal awareness of autism will continue to evolve. We should not expect or even want all of the disparate voices surrounding autism to become a single uniform perspective. No, this is true. And honestly, like, I get criticized a lot, obviously, as you imagine. But like, some of the criticism is like, you're kind of like nearly right. It's like, no, we are all different. You've met one autistic person, you met one autistic person. When people start assigning political labels here, there, and everywhere, it's like, I mean, it's a bit like, I don't know. I mean, we have had politics where people kind of only liked one hair and eye colour, haven't we? We have had that one. But like, actually starting to point the traits of people and to assign them political leanings based on their sort of characteristics or traits is kind of wild. And we can have conversations about stuff. We can have conversations about, for example, is autism prevalence increasing or decreasing among various demographics? It's interesting. I don't think that's helpful research, by the way. Personally, I would rather fund stuff that helps autistic people. That's novel, I know, but like, we totally could do stuff to help people. There's obviously a huge array of co-occurring so-called comorbid conditions. Great, like, just splash the cash, get going. Also, like, there's tons of social work in terms of like sociological work that can be done on autism, on demographics, on look into all of it. Just crack on, obviously. But I mean, you know, that's notwithstanding the elephant on the room, which is the reopening of research that the current the US government doesn't like. So, says Lord, having a child with autism. Oh no, there's more. Autism provides us a model of how complicated and challenging human interaction can be. Autism provides us with a model of how complicated and challenging human interaction can be. Have they met neurotypicals? Okay. We're down the bottom bit, by the way. Nearly finished. Says Lord, having a child with autism radically changes almost everyone's life in a family. And although there's joys and wonderful moments... Oh no, we got to do this one properly. Having a child with autism radically changes almost everyone's life in a family. And although there are joys and wonderful moments, it's wrong to pretend it's easy. I'm not saying it's not hard. It's fucking difficult. I know there's so many challenges involved. Like I say, this is an area Nina works in. This is an area other members of my family are involved in. And yeah, it's not easy. What the fuck was that? What are you thinking? Okay, right, diagnosing and treating. Should we do a 60-second break and then do diagnosing and treating? We've got the mother's story to do, haven't we? But, I forgot to mention, in this thing, we got Love on the Spectrum caster in here. I did a little flick through. Love on the Spectrum caster in here. That would be cool, right? And there's an autistic adult in here. I think I'm reasonably confident there's an autistic adult in here, so that could be all right. Yeah, so we could have a little read of that. Let's get yourselves tea, have a wee. It's spooky season, so treat yourself, have a poo, And nope, not that music. Don't go. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Okay. We'll do a 2-minute break. Ads might play. It's only going to be 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Some exciting shit coming up. Stretch your legs. Do little jumping jacks. Have a little stim session. Just 2 minutes. And see you on the other side.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, golden. I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things.
Yes. This is 1 minute only, but I was rushing there. Nina's burnt a potato in the microwave. Sorry, that took a little bit longer than normal. Okay, let's have a little look at the... Okay, give me a second. Hang on. I know what's the problem. Don't go anywhere. I have to... I ruined what I was working on. Okay. 1 second. Right. So the smell of burnt potato. Sleep, you once caught a potato on fire in a microwave. Yeah, I think that's where this was going. Potato fairy. Actually, give me the fire fairy. Okay, we're on to diagnosing and treatment. I don't know if we want to read this. Shall we see? Let's click through it and see what happens. Oh, has anyone got one of those stim toys? One of those multicolored popper things? Has anyone got one? Has anyone got one of those poppy things? Is it good? Do you like it? I need to know. I mean, I do have like little like stim toys, but nothing that's meant as a stim toy. Like the stones are nice. The little squishmallows are cool. They're here. But like the poppy thing's good. Aaron, is it? Jeannie, is it good? Hospital napkin, you like it? A few of those. I mean, like you like popping for a short while. It's good for road counting. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Yeah. Good spot, by the way. Who spotted the girl? Sorry, who spotted the girl? Anik. Yeah, we found one. There's a girl there. This might not actually be an autistic child. It could just be a neurotypical girl high-fiving an autistic like boy. You know, I'm just. It might not be. I'm just saying. Okay. As rates rise, so do claims about what causes autism. Here's a look at what's known about the disorder by Sarah Klein. Do you want to read this one? Do we move on? I'll tell you what, I'll throw it open to a poll. Okay, poll's open, everyone. There is a poll open. Read this section, read it, or move on. Those are your two options. If you say move on, we'll move on to the next section. And I can't tell you what the next section is because I can't remember. I can actually. I can go and read it, tell you what the next section is. But I'm not gonna. We're not going to leave the poll open for long. Read it or move on. If you want to just skip this section, let me know. If you want me to read it, let me know. Click it. We're going to do this democratically. Okay, 70-30. Let's do it then, 73-26. All right, we're going to read it. There's no single root cause for autism. True. That fact is an alarming one, especially to parents of newly diagnosed children. Parents, particularly parents who have kids who are more severely affected, are desperately trying to figure out why did this happen and can I do something to help it, says Carolyn Weitzman, MD, co-director of the Autism Spectrum Center at Boston Children's Hospital. Just a moment, everyone. Like really, like just a quick moment. Like, you know how parents are picking up on sort of autism with a child when they're sort of like 1 year old or 2 years old or whatever. They have a checklist, neurodevelopmental sort of trajectory checklist, and like does make eye contact, or does a common one, by the way, particularly pointed out by Autism Speaks, is they say, does the child follow your gaze, and does the child point at things or fixate on things that you also as a parent, you know, are looking at? You know, if no, then could be the autism. So like, you know, it's not like, oh my God, my child is now orange. What do I do? Oh, I woke up and my child is now green. You know, it's like literally joint attention. Thank you, Chloe. Yeah. Like that's the one of the main factors that Autism Speaks push and go, look, is your child doing this? Is your child doing it or not? Oh no, you need to worry, basically. And I would honestly say no. Like, really? Like, you know, no room for variation? Like, as a normal human being? Just saying. Just saying. This led me to ask a lot of questions, continuing, about the causes and risk factors of this neurological and developmental condition. Much better language. All of the questions that the public have are valid, says Jonathan Seabat, PhD, director of the Verge Center of the University of California, San Diego, and a professor of psychiatry and cellular and molecular medicine. In many cases, he adds, science has specific answers, even if we don't understand it completely. Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I just need to move the window across a bit. That's better. Easier on my eyes. The lack of complete understanding of autism has led to some lingering myths and misconceptions, many of which have become controversial or politicized and politicized. Sebat thinks that addressing these misconceptions requires more nuanced communication from scientists, physicians, government organizations, and the media. We need explanations that don't insult the intelligence of the public and do a little bit of a deeper dive into answering their questions, he says. Okay. Here's an overview of what does and does not cause autism and what it might take to put these myths to rest once and for all. Factors linked to autism. Consider a developmental disorder. Autism affects how people can interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Autism spectrum disorder diagnoses have increased. Have I read this already? Well, it's the same shit. I've not read it already, but it's the same shit. Let's move on to the next page. Lovely picture. Genes account for 80% of the risk of autism, and variants in more than 100 genes have been identified as playing a role. Okay. Love the risk of autism. That's really funny. It's like saying, you know, your child has a 50-50 risk of being female. High parental age, diabetes, obesity, you know, correlation, causation, high parental age. I know. Diabetes, obesity, and immune system issues during pregnancy are linked to higher chances of having a child with autism. Or as some might say, an autistic child. What a terrible thing. Sarcasm. Autism starts during the prenatal period. It's not something where a child is developing normally, and then later in life an environmental risk factor occurs, and then they develop autism. Yeah, I mean, that's written quite weirdly, but okay. Yes. Genes. By and large, autism is a genetic condition. Autistic people generally have any number of genetic variants that, when coupled with environmental factors, lead to symptoms. Symptoms is disease. Autism is not a disease. Autism does not have symptoms. Some research estimates that genes account for about 80% of the risk of autism, and variants in more than 100 genes have been identified as playing a role. Some of these gene variants are quite common, and it takes a number of them to accumulate beyond a certain threshold to cause autism, says Geraldine Dawson, founding director, Duke University. Others are rare and spontaneous, but those gene variants in an autistic child might not be present in their parents. Either way, the genes that lead to an ASD diagnosis are there when the baby's born, and at work even before then. These genes are highly expressed during fetal brain development, says Dawson. They have to do with how neurons are formed, how they're organized, and how well they function. This is a really important finding because it tells us that autism starts during the prenatal period. It's not something where a child is developing normally and then later in life an environmental risk factor occurs and then they develop autism. A person can be diagnosed with autism at any age, but symptoms typically begin before a child turns 2. These early signs often involve a regression of skills, meaning a young child who has been hitting age-appropriate milestones begin to lose those skills. That's not a familiar timeline for a genetic condition to many people, Sivert points out. Instead, they expect symptoms would have always been present, and therefore they tend to write off a genetic cause for autism and look to some other factor to blame. It's interesting language that they've used, but I sort of get what they're trying to say there, which is, autism is a lifelong neurodevelopmental condition. And the fact is that, when you start looking at, for example, your Autism Speaks checklist, your early days checklist, I have a copy of that, by the way, if anyone wants to have a look at it. Had to use some fake details, but yeah, I'm on their mailing list. They think I have an autistic baby. And they keep sort of emailing out like things to look out for, signs of autism and symptoms of autism, and look at this. The joint attention thing is big. And it's like thinking, when parents start thinking, actually, this is a problem, the child used to do this and now they do this and that's not as good as that. So therefore something must have happened. What did they have? Did they eat something? Were they exposed to something? Is it some sort of toxin? And they kind of think like that because of all of the language that's out there. And I think that's kind of what this is talking about in a really weird pathological way. But new research suggests babies may have had symptoms of autism or at least been experiencing the effects since birth. You see, that's a weird way to write it, but kind of yes. These studies look at the earliest experiences of children who have gone on to be diagnosed as autistic. For example, in one 2023 paper, medical records show that autistic children were already going to more doctor's appointments as early as 30 days after birth, compared with kids who are not later diagnosed with autism. I think this is a really important area of research that helps parents understand some of the early signs, Dawson says. It's very inconsistent with the idea that at 12 months of age, your child receives a vaccine and then has autism. Environmental factors. Genes are an important part of the cause of ASD, but autism is not entirely inherited. In most cases, both rare and common genes are adding together to contribute to the likelihood of autism, but these are also combined with environmental factors, Dawson says. The gene-environment relationship is still an area of ongoing research, and environmental factors are particularly challenging to study because they're difficult to isolate. Plus, observational studies of environmental factors can typically only show correlation, not causation. That said, there are now several environmental factors that are linked to autism risk based on solid scientific backing. Parental age at conception. Parents older than 40 are more likely to have a child with autism. As we age, we accumulate tiny deletions in our chromosomes, Dawson says. Well, autism is not a chromosomal kind of deficiency problem. You could also argue, I'm just going to attack this from another direction here with the parental age at conception thing and just say, hey, look, it's quite possible that autistic people prefer, for some reason or other, to have children later in life. Dawson says, due to our exposure to toxins, medications we take, even our diet, if those changes occur in genes associated with autism risk and they're passed down to a child, there may be a higher likelihood of autism. That's true in a weird written way, but there are other explanations too. Preterm birth. Babies born prematurely have high rates of autism. Preemies born at just 22 to 27 weeks are almost 4 times as likely to be autistic than babies born at full term at 39 to 41 weeks, according to a 2021 study in pediatrics. Babies born very early often have a lower birth weight than babies born at full term, and a lower birth weight is associated with a number of developmental conditions. And that makes sense, quote, you have a child who's born very early and that's associated with a lot of impact on brain development. So when we look at what, because autism is actually, it is a very, very wide category insofar as how is autism defined and how is autism measured. There are a lot of things that preemie babies can suffer from. There are a lot of things that people with chromosomal difficulties can suffer from. There are a lot of people with, even brain damage can suffer from that can be sort of soft mapped onto an autistic trait or an autistic feature, or as they might call it, an autistic symptom. That doesn't mean that they're autistic. It's kind of, they're kind of treating autism as though it is one singular package. It is a thing like a broken leg. Ah, you have a broken leg. Which leg? It's my left one. Okay, right. What do we have to do? Well, we have to cast it. We have to, blah, blah, blah. We have to do this, that, and the other. You have to be walking with a cane for a bit. Okay, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Right? It's not like that. Like autism is not a thing, right? That you can kind of go to and you can kind of target with a pill or whatever, as much as people would like that to be. And part of the reason for that, particularly when citing studies, and it's something that I would love to communicate. I'd love everyone to take this away, actually, because I feel like I'm the only person in the universe that said this. And that can't be the case. But when you ever hear an autism study being cited, okay, you all know about correlation, causation, like quite a lot of you know about like p-hacking and all this sort of like more technical stuff. But actually, what I think everyone in here can take away, every single person, is when somebody's citing a study and it relates to autism, you have to know what they mean by autism. Because sometimes it's just a checklist. Sometimes it's just a scorecard that a mother fills in every day with numbers 1 to 5, and they rate how autistic little Timmy is. That, by the way, is how the vitamin treatment proposed in the Trump RFK conference, quote unquote, works. That reduced autism symptoms, but what does that mean? What does it mean? Barvinci, do you know what I mean? Like, it means that a mother's gone, okay. Oh, a mother, only 20 mothers, by the way. Like, we're not talking about like big sample sizes. It's always small sample sizes. And they go, oh, Timmy took that pill and he's like a 4 today. Yeah, he's a 4. Yeah. Maybe tomorrow we'll hope for a 3. Okay. That's what that is. So when you often hear studies being cited and it's like, oh, the autism this and autism that, it's like, no. What are you talking about here? What specifically are you talking about? Are you talking about, for example, it could be self-injurious behaviors and the quantity of self-injurious behaviors over time. It could be that, right? It could be something as simple as that. I would say accommodate, work on environment, reduce self-injurious behaviors over time. Wow, isn't that amazing? Isn't that really clever? Just kind of distract. And I appreciate there is a big parenting load on parents that have to constantly supervise someone, constantly distract them and move them to more sort of neutral stims as opposed to injurious ones. I get that is a massive problem, and resources should go into helping people and supporting people with that. Maybe even respite, like whatever it is people need. I get that. But it's not just about self-injurious behaviors and then writing down the number of those per day and drawing a little line graph or whatever, the ABA thing. It can literally just be, how do you rate little Timmy on a scale of 1 to 5? Where 5 is very much and 1 is not at all. It's like the pain scale from 1 to 9. There's never a column for, does mummy have a migraine while she's doing a checklist? Yeah, it's like, how much does this person piss you off and inconvenience you? Is it a high number or is it a low number? So when you go, oh, this preemies have a high rate of autism. Do they really? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But is it like, what are we looking at here? What factor are we looking at here? Low weight, okay. Or what about being overweight? Could it be, could it be safe foods? Could it be a difficulty finding healthy safe foods? Could it be blah, 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 blah? There's a million different reasons. There's so many different variables. And I would love, if I could do like one thing in the world right now, it would just be to share with you all that one thing, which is just whenever you hear anyone mentioning a study and it's an autism study, like just the one thing, you can forget sample sizes, forget everything, forget where it's published, forget all of the stuff, right? Just look at how autism was measured. Sometimes it's based on pre-existing diagnostic flag on a record. Okay, fair enough. In which case you need to look at when, right? Like, is it pre-2013? Is this sort of DSM-4 era kind of diagnosis? Where was it done? Blah, blah, blah. It's just, I'm just saying, I'd love to pass that on. Just, what does autism mean? Basically, it's the big one. It's what I wish everyone would ask the question. Wherever you are, with your families or with friends or people online or whatever, you're arguing on Reddit. I don't know. I'm not saying these things are healthy for you. I'm just saying, like, when you're there and somebody's throwing studies at you, just ask yourself the question, or ask them the question. What do they mean by autism? All right, just please. I know I've waffled on about it so much. I will make more videos about this. I might even make a video about that. Just ask people what do they mean by autism, because autism is a complex neurodevelopmental condition. And you've seen one autistic person, you've seen one autistic person. So what does it mean? And often it's how much do they piss their mother off? That's kind of what it boils down to. Okay, all right, I'll shut up about it now. Right, next page. Okay. I'm looking at a picture of... Oh, I see. Preemies have high rates of the disorder. With those born at... Hang on a second.
Neurodeficit?
That one. And those born at 22 to 27 weeks are almost 4 times as likely to be autistic as babies born at full term. But again, you have to ask the question, like, okay, that's an interesting statistic, but, you know, asterisk, as rated by their mothers at 5 weeks postpartum or whatever, I don't know, just whatever. Like, the devil's in the detail, and it really is with autism research. Right, okay. Birth complications, knots in the umbilical cord, the pregnant mother's health, obesity, diabetes, problems with the immune system during pregnancy are also entirely the risk of having a baby with autism. Careful, Mike, that's the quiet part out loud. What did I say? What did I say? What was the thing? Am I going to get cancelled now? What did I say? Are you the drama? Soup, are you the drama? Like, the pregnant mother's health, right? Like air pollution and exposure to environmental toxins such as smog during pregnancy raise the risk of having a baby with ASD. The theory is that pollution or toxins increase inflammation in pregnant women, which then affects the fetus's brain development. Having another child in a family with autism. That's actually ding, 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 ding. Having another child in a family with autism, I would say ding, 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 ding. Oh, the mic, the pissing them off bit. Okay. What if it's, bear with me, the mother's autism that causes those things? Nikki, because as we write this, I'll answer that question for you, because that's a really good question. Here we go. It's on the screen right now for anyone watching this afterwards. What if, bear with me, it's the mother's autism that causes those things, and she might not be diagnosed? Indeed. And specifically at this moment in time, it's quite likely that the mother ain't diagnosed. I'm just saying, the disparity is quite wide. It's gotten smaller, but it's still quite wide. Is it less? It's less than 3 male to 3 female to 1 male now, isn't it? Sorry, females to 1 female. My brain. What's wrong with my brain? But yeah, preposterous. Yeah, absolutely. And traits of the mother as well, being related to this. Having another child in the family with autism. This points to the complex interplay of genetic or environmental factors involved. Even though the environments may be the same, one child may be present with a very specific profile, the other child may be present with a broader autism phenotype. Yes. Factors that do not cause autism. MMR. It's going to talk about Wakefield in here. I'm going to ignore that for a moment because partly YouTube. What do you need to know? What a lot of crap. In fact, we're back on this, by the way. RFK is revitalizing this whole argument. Where will research go next? US Health and Human Services Secretary, I want to say Human Remains for some reason, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has long touted the disproven claim that there is a link between vaccines and autism. And in April, he announced that he was launching a massive new study to discover the reasons for the increasing rates of autism. See page 32 for more. Oh, it's coming. Scientists who have long searched for a cause are skeptical about this plan. The idea is distressing, says Wiseman, because it's elevating misinformation that has already been shown not to be related to the cause of autism. It leads to further distrust in vaccines, physicians, and medicine, while detracting from the researchers' ability to explore new areas of study that have the potential to lead to more effective interventions. In other words, they've got better things to do. There's a list a mile long that we should be investigating in a disorder condition that we still know very little about. Dawson agrees this would slow down our ability to make these important medical discoveries that could really improve the health of everyone. This is such an exciting time for medical research given the advances in genetics and technology and AI. And so we want to make sure our precious resources are being used to develop better ways to detect autism, ... and treat autism. Because as we know, not being autistic is healthier than being autistic. Sarcasm. There's a lot of sarcasm in this video. I don't know where... I can't help it. Sorry. Sorry, yeah, I read that page. There you go. Right. Our rising numbers cause for alarm. Public fear is understandable. But experts say the trend is actually evidence of success. Do we need to know? Do we need to read this, or should we go on to? Okay, hang on a second. Right, I'm going to give you a poll, and it's going to be called "Read this section," or I know Love on the Spectrum's in there. Okay. I've given you, this time you've got 3 options. So read this section, or skip to Love on the Spectrum, or skip to the next section, don't know what it is. Are we staying on rising numbers a cause for alarm? Or are we going to just skip it? Vote now. It's a short vote. This vote ain't going to be along for long on your YouTube app or whatever. You need to click. I mean, you don't have to, but you know. Read this section and skip to the next section. Don't know what. Are pretty close. All right, we're going to go for only just. It's read this section, but since it was so close, I'll do it quickly. If there's a single known fact everyone knows about autism, it's that numbers are increasing dramatically, rising dramatically. Dramatic. This increase has fueled speculation about its cause, including wildly unfounded theories that persist on the internet. The story behind the numbers is complex, and while researchers would like some of their questions answered more fully, many considerations put the increase into context. Then it goes on to talk about how the numbers have increased. Well-known factors have contributed to increasing prevalence. Heightened awareness and media attention. That doesn't increase prevalence though, does it? This is just diagnostic rates. It doesn't increase the actual thing. It just increases the well, we found another one. Doesn't mean The prevalence is it's increasing. Heightened awareness and attention have increased the increased number of diagnoses. Yeah, they have. But they're not making something in the doctor's office. They're not making it up. That's like saying there aren't any gay people, and then oh, we found one. Oh, I found another one. And everyone's becoming gay. No, that's not how it works. That's absolute contempt for journalism there. I'm going to have to just replace the word increasing prevalence with increasing diagnostic rates and then continue. And then it works. Increased access to screening has allowed earlier identification. It's always earlier. No, fuck this. Listen, it's not earlier identification. It's actually, right, here we are, right? Okay. I don't have the numbers for you right now, but wait. It's actually later identification. Blow some fucking minds here. All right. It's not just earlier identification. It's older identification. There is according to, if I quote Tony Atwood, Dr. Tony Atwood, a eminent autism expert, he defines it as an entire lost generation now seeking to be understood and to be seen. You know, an entire fucking generation. It's actually more than one generation, but it's like you've got one plus at least one generation, right, of people, which is a lot of people, by the way, like in terms of like the number of people, and we're all living longer, etc., etc. Just trying to seek answers. There's a fucking flood of people versus the every year the newborns being born being screened for whether or not they have joint attention with their parents. It's more than one lost generation, right? The boomers, Generation X, definitely, millennials even. Gen currents, Gen boomers is a huge range. Yeah, I wouldn't even say like Gen current even. But like, yeah, Gen Z even, maybe even perhaps some of the old ones, Gen Z, or it depends really where they went to school, whether or not they were served well. It's quite possible even Gen Z, Gen Alpha even, because some people may not have been picked up on, right? A whole heap of people, a whole wave of people. This obsession with children is too much. It's a huge wave of people. A double-breasted, pardon the pun, imagery, pardon the imagery, but like there's two big peaks here, and my opinion, my hypothesis is the peak of adults and those diagnosed over, for example, 12 years old. Definitely those diagnosed over 18. That's what's charging that line up. That's what's pushing the line hard. The rate of prevalence, so to speak. It's a lot of parents. It's also worth pointing out that for every sort of like, given the strong heritability of autism, the number of children being identified, which then creates this problem, it creates a problem of what about the father or what about the mother? What about the parents? Every child becomes almost like fuck. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Isn't that interesting? I think they've missed the story. The story is, yes, children and more children are being identified, and there is a story there. Like definitely what's going on. Are we over-identifying children? Are we not? Are we doing better? Is there more screening? Is there worse screening? What do we need to do? How can we make things more accurate? How can we make things better? Loads of lovely conversations to have, some good debates to have, which we can all have different opinions on. But, Saber, seriously. Another key factor has been the expansion of the diagnostic criteria for autism. In 1980, autism was included as a distinct category in DSM-3. In 87, a revision broadened the criteria. In 94, DSM-4 introduced the concept of a spectrum. DSM-5 added severity levels. Severity levels is not a thing the way people think it's a thing. I'm not taking away from you. If it's written on your paperwork, it's written on your paperwork. But I'd argue this, by the way. If you have a diagnostic number on some paperwork, I would kindly suggest maybe having a respectful think about some of the more challenging moments in your life, some of the more challenging environments, some of the more challenging situations, some of the more challenging times of day, and comparing and contrasting that with the easiest times in your life and the more supported times in your life and the times you have more energy and the times of day that work better for you and. You're not one number across all of those things. That's, just like or you're a number 2. Okay, number 2s go in the queue over there. It's like, and it was never meant as such, but for some reason everyone believes, because do you know why? Do you know why everyone believes the severity thing as numbers, like levels, right? The reason everyone believes it is because we're all conditioned to understand numbers. We all watched Sesame Street, didn't we? We watched the count doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. We all know, we're all students of the numbers. We all know how to do numbers, and a bigger number is better. In fact, actually, that is true. By the way, if you're in the United States and you have a bigger number, you are more likely to get, a more favorable insurance. Maybe not payment, but they're more likely to cover more. The ICD doesn't even do that, which is most of the world. But the numbers were never meant. The numbers are shorthand. It's not, and it changes. As Leslie says, levels for kids. Kids improve in communication skills. Kids grow up. Kids change. Some of the autism reversal papers, particularly the twin study, what makes me laugh the most. It's not laughing, actually. It's horrible for those people. But it does make me laugh in terms of, like, uncomfortably. Please understand that. It's not humor. It definitely isn't humor. Those children were said over many years, so they were given intense ABA therapy and they improved. But they also got older. They also grew up. It went on for years. So I don't know, if you sampled me at 4 years old and I wasn't talking, I was walking, but I didn't crawl. I mean, I skipped some developmental milestones. So fucking what? Like, I'm just saying, like, come on. We should be thinking more in terms of, in my opinion, neurotypical developmental trajectory rather than calling it normal. I'm not a big fan of the whole kind of like language thing, but neurotypical developmental trajectory and the fact that there is some variance and we don't need to just hook onto it necessarily and go, oh my God, my child's broken. He's never going to be able to manage it. There is an autistic, I don't want to call him a lad actually, as well as my brain was straight through. He's a young adult. He's the youngest professor actually at Cambridge University. He's non-speaking autistic. So he never crossed the sort of speaking developmental milestone. But he's a professor at Cambridge University. I'm not saying everyone has to be sort of savant-like. I'm just citing him as a notable example of someone who didn't cross a early developmental milestone. He's the youngest professor at Cambridge University. I'm just saying. And it definitely flags up. This person needs support. This person needs the right environment to thrive. This person needs whatever. He speaks now. Okay, there you go. Bavinci. There you go. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I do. That's phenomenal. While it's understandable that the public is concerned about the rising numbers, Andy Shee, I have a video on him coming up. I know you guys hear me say I have a video quite often. Yeah. Yeah, we got a bot. I deleted the bot. I think we have a mod in here as well. Okay. So, while it's understandable that the public is concerned about the rising numbers, and hang on a second, I'll do that. While it's understandable that the public is concerned about the rising numbers, Andy, Chief Science Officer at the advocacy group Autism Speaks,
and you were neurodifferent.
feels that this is evidence that research work is paying off. In reference to the research results published in JAMA Network Open, she wrote, "It shows that we're making progress, but also where we need to improve. Bridging gaps in healthcare access," notes she, that I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm going to call him Andy, is where the focus should be. Even as researchers continue to investigate the factors responsible for the rise of autism numbers, diagnostic trends, there you go. Why didn't you say that earlier? Diagnostic trends will impact healthcare delivery and educational practices, including training and integration of support services in schools and communities. The higher numbers will increase scientific attention and research funding, as well as the need for support networks and advocacy groups. Autism Speaks is not an advocacy group. Researchers found children who begin support at 18 months show more than twice the improvement on social skills tests than those who started 9 months later. No source is given. They're talking about ABA. Early signs of autism. Timing matters. Here's what to watch for, and when and how to take action. Okay. Oh, not Q&A. Gosh. Hang on 1 second. I'm giving you guys control over this. Early signs of autism. Read it or skip it. By the way, there are autistic adults in here that I am 100% going to get to, even if we have to skip the next section or two or whatever. And also Love on the Spectrum. I want to quickly glance over that too. Read it, 72. Skip it, 28. Don't forget, we've got the mother's story to do. While the signs of autism spectrum disorder often appear early, research shows that many families wait until the child's between 8 and 28 months of age before starting to see cancers. And even after that initial screening, the path to diagnosis often stretch out another 2+ years. That looks like an area that needs work, doesn't it? 2 years for an autism assessment for a child. This hesitation is natural. Every child develops differently, and parents can be resistant to the diagnosis because of stigma or even denial. Oh, I wonder where the stigma comes from. I wonder why they feel the parents are worried about stigma. Oh, I wonder why. This hesitation is natural. Okay, there we go. Yet timing can dramatically affect outcomes. A 2023 study in the journal Autism found that children who began support at 18 months showed more than twice the improvement on social skills test than children who just started 9 months later, exhibiting major gains in language, social skills, and cognitive development. Quote, "Early intervention leads to the most positive outcomes in all areas of functioning. Understanding what to watch for and where to turn to help can transform a child's future." Early signs of autism. Oh, by the way, I have now completed my registered behavior technician training. I have an exam to do, but yeah, it is done. They gave me a slip of paper. Early signs of autism. Children with ASD often hit major physical milestones like sitting, crawling, and walking on time. But subtler differences in development and interaction are the crucial signs. Often the clues aren't so much what the kids are doing, but what they're not doing. Quote, this can mean a child who rarely meets your gaze, doesn't respond to their name, shows few facial expressions or doesn't share back and forth exchanges of smells or sounds. Limited language or gestures like pointing can also signal a difference. These behaviours fall into what experts call joint attention. Thank you earlier, Chloe, for that one. And delays here are one of the biggest autism tells, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Congrats, Mike. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was hell. It took 6 months. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. This has probably confused people that are new to the channel as to why Mike is becoming an ABA-er. It's called biting off more than you can chew. That's what it's called. It's called, that sounds like a good idea. What's the worst that could happen? 6 months. It took me exactly 6 months. Well, literally just a couple of days shy of 6 months. So now I can take my certificate and book my test, which I will do. But obviously I'm not practicing. I just wanted to learn. No, you chewed it. It just wasn't expected. It was like chewing. I'm vegan, but like it was like chewing something really gristly. You know what I mean? it's like chewing something that does not wish to be chewed. Yeah. I'm not reading that, Soup. You're just trying to get me in trouble. Right. Repetitive behaviors. These include activities like pushing a toy back and forth repeatedly. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Spinning, rocking, hand flapping, or doing other really fucking cool things. Their child is experiencing their environment in a vivid, three-dimensional way, full of textures and sounds and sensations, and they are playing with their toys in the non-government approved manner. ADHD meme, instead of folding the laundry, I think I'll become an ABA therapist and then never be an ABA therapist. Anne-Marie, that's really fucking funny. I like that. It's kind of true. Sensory interests or aversions, such as fascination with, oh, sorry, I missed this one. Hand flapping or focusing intensely on just parts of an object, like the wheels of a toy vehicle. Bell, nothing wrong with stimming, but it is a possible indicator. I don't know if that's where I'm going. Yeah, I agree with you. You're right, Bell. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, these are absolutely, I would call them clues. But like, I don't see that they are disorders, behaviors. I don't see that they are pathological behaviors. I don't think that a child should be discouraged from lining up toys or being fascinated with certain aspects of them in a way that you wouldn't see a child playing with a toy on television, you know, in the adverts for Matchbox cars, you know, or they're like making them run down these really complicated things as opposed to kind of like studying them or lining them up or stacking them or doing whatever. Oh man, it's a toy, the child spending time, passing time with, you know, with or without the toys. So what? Whatever. I don't see that as a problem. I don't see that as in any way deficient. And I don't think that neurotypical play is superior. There's literally nothing more to it than this. Maybe they're banging them together because they like hearing the sound, blah, blah, blah. Or they're like, you know, role-playing cars crashing. I don't know, whatever. Could be noisy, could be... Play can be complicated, it can be muddy, it can be noisy, it can be clean, it can be whatever. But I don't see that is necessarily a problem. But it's a clue. It's a clue. Sensory interests or aversions, such as fascination with blinking lights or touching an object to their lips or strong reactions to food textures are also common. Key signs. 18 months to 3 years, not responding to their name, unusual eye contact. Doesn't follow pointing, shared attention, has little interest in interactive play, rarely shares excitement or shows things, prefers solitary play after age 2, repeats words without clear purpose. They do have a purpose. It's regulating, it's enjoyable, it's just different. This is just like a cultural difference, yeah. It's like a cultural difference. Repetitive movements, flapping, rocking, unusual toy play, spinning, lining up objects. It's unusual toy play. Strong reactions to changes in routine, sensitive to textures, food, clothing, intense focus on specific objects. Moving on to ages 4 to 12, one-sided conversations or infodumping, limited interest in social connections. Probably hasn't worked out. I think by the time a child is somewhere between 4 to 12, they've had a number of failed social interactions. Trouble with emotional expression. Yeah, maybe. Misses social cues, body language, unusual speech patterns, monotone or sing-song. Uses scripted phrases from movies, TV shows. I would probably go here more. I'd put more proprioception in here, by the way. Sorry, the toddler things and maybe school-age things as well. Tiptoe walking. Jumping. Using scripted phrases from movies, TV shows. Yeah, that's where all of my education came from, like in terms of like learning, and not all of it, but like I'd copy a lot of behaviors from TV, from movies. Requires fixed routines. Requires fixed routines is a really, really dodgy one here. I would love to put a red line through that. because not requires fixed routines isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but a parent could read that and go, fuck, let's get out the planner. And I just think it'd just be terrible for a poor autistic kid to be forced into some fucking militaristic, right, you wake at 6 a.m. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Intense, narrow interests. Intense, narrow interests is how my whole life, the best bits from my life have come from intense, narrow interests. What the fuck is the problem? I would say, what's wrong with you, man? You've got no interests. You're interested in nothing, got no joy, joyless, soulless existence. I have thoroughly enjoyed hearing from and spending time with people who have deep interests in something or other. Struggles to change? Yeah, sure. I'd probably make that more specific and talk about transitions from one state to another, or activity to another, or unexpected, uncommunicated change, that sort of thing. I wouldn't just go struggles with change, because it leaves people kind of like, well, what the fuck do I do to keep everything the same? Fuck, we've got to have a schedule. Then you end up with a joyless existence. If you actually want to kind of meet this list of requirements here, that second bullet point, you're gonna give someone a joyless existence. Show me a kid who doesn't do better with a common routine. Yeah, sure, Red Jen. Yeah, totally. I agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily a problem, but I think things like fixed routines, I think, is a bit of an issue. I think it's more to do with knowing and being able to prepare and energy allocate. They may not call it those things, but that's how it is, really. Those picture kind of planners for those with higher communication needs and perhaps intellectual disabilities, super helpful, right? I'm going to do this, then this, and this, and this, and this. Cool, right. That's what I have to do today. Got it. I just hate the idea, because I know I've read many stories. I've heard many more from people who either have imposed a strict routine / schedule onto someone else, or have had it imposed onto them. What a horrible existence. I feel kind of bitter about it, because my dad wanted me to go into a military school, a boarding school, and I melted down in I'm surprised I'm still here after melting down so much. I literally, I was always a child who just, I was pretty quiet, really, and just sort of accepted everything, smiled and nodded, and kept my knees together and my hands on my lap, that kind of kid. Seen and not heard was the motto. That's not to say I had a joyless existence or a bad childhood, really, but yeah, there's no way in hell I was going to boarding school. That's not happening, especially not a military one. Some of these behaviors don't automatically indicate autism. It's never just one characteristic, says Agnesia Papazan, a pediatric psychologist and clinical director. We look for a variety of signs. If your child loves to precisely line up toys, that alone doesn't suggest autism. What matters is the overall pattern of development and getting expert guidance to understand what you're seeing. Fair enough. Unlike testing for common childhood illnesses, assessing autism requires careful observation of behavior patterns and development over time. The process often begins at a pediatrician's office, where the AAP recommends autism screening during the 18 and 24-month well visits. There you go. So the American Association of Pediatrics is actually recommending autism screening at 18 and 24-month appointments. That's pretty early, hey? What do I think of that? I think that's really fucking early. So the AAP is recommending autism screening, which is partly the increase in numbers. I would say is probably less to do with diagnostic criteria changing or awareness. It's probably more to do with you coming in and getting a checkup for your kids. You're getting an autism screening at the same time, and this is very early. I'm just saying. I don't know about that. I don't know about screening at 18 and 24 months. And I know it's because ABA sort of proponents will say that, you know, outcomes are better the earlier on you get the child. But still, I mean, developmental trajectories can just move in all manner of directions, you know? It's quite early. Especially to be slapping a disorder label on a child. While these screening guidelines are crucial for early identification, Tulin points out that there's no standard way to screen for autism across pediatric practices. Some doctors use one tool, some use another. Some don't screen regularly at all. Despite doctors being trained and given the right tools, the 2024 report found that still too many tend to only screen toddlers who show the most obvious signs of the disorder. As a result, subtler cases often go unnoticed until later. For those of you that might be wondering how do they do it, well, Autism Speaks actually have a validated... I say validated. It's a subject for another day. It's the... Is it the MChat? Yeah, it's the MChat. The MChat are a screening tool they very much like pediatricians to use to identify autism. I'm just moving to the next page, sorry. I've got a lot of buttons to click over here. This is... Hey, look, if you're here, welcome to Autistic AF YouTube channel. My name is Mike. We're Identified Autistic Adult. Nice to meet you. Hello. You don't have to shake my hand. It's in the middle of the air between me and the camera, which is where I'm imagining you probably are. But that is okay. You can pet the cat. Saber's just there. This is the ADHD side of the YouTube channel. That's it. Okay. Ask about autism screenings at the recommended intervals. If your parental instincts aren't being heard, it's okay to consult another doctor. Your doctor can refer you to specialists such as a developmental pediatrician or a neuropsychologist for further testing. School-aged children can receive free assessments through the public school system, sorry. Quoting here, state and school evaluations may not specifically diagnose autism, but they can identify the need for services or further assessment. That's as good as. Private evaluations, although costly, up to $7,000 without insurance, that's $7,000 US, can provide comprehensive assessment, including medical and behavioral history and structured observations. The gold-plated autism assessment combines play-based ADOS too, right? Oh yeah. Let's all look at an autistic child lining up their toys very quickly. There we go. Moving on. With the ADIR, I made a video on this very recently if you want to go and click on that. If you're interested in what the ADOS and the ADIR is and all of the other various sort of screening tools, the cars and the this and the that and the disco and the MChat and this... Actually, I don't think I put the MChat in that particular video. Only because Autism Speaks' early diagnostic questionnaire is kind of like... It's like a bit controversial to me. That's not to say it hasn't been validated and it's not got some sort of relevancy, but it's almost like an intake form for their organization. And I feel that makes me uncomfortable. There's a conflict of interest there. It's like, you know, Autism Speaks with love for every parent with a child under 2 to take this chat and then go, my child's autistic, and then suddenly run to Autism Speaks and start fundraising for them. I'm just saying that there is an obvious conflict of interest, and I have a problem with that. And the reason why I have a problem with that is that Autism Speaks spends most of their money on private parties and celebrity galas for their executives than they do on anything else. They exist purely to exist, not to do anything good. Of the remaining money, they do some stuff with it, but it's kind of questionable. It's all focused on ID and treatment and so on and so forth. So it feels to me like their organizational strategy is to get more children diagnosed, quote unquote, with autism, to get the parents into the fold and fundraising for them. It's like, here, your child has a disability, now give us some money. Go stand on the corner and rattle a pot of coins, sell some matchsticks. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, you've got multi-millionaires partying it up with celebrities and their posh galas with the celebrity chefs. And that is where most of the money goes. So that's why I do have a bit of a problem when we, you know, start looking at things like MChat or whatever, or anything sort of the early identification and screening. It has to be separated. So ADOS is separate. But, you know, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I'm not saying, you know, identifying more autistic people at younger age isn't a bad thing. Necessarily, on paper it's not, but I also feel like part of the reason why children are targeted is because they're vulnerable and they're not adults. Adults with boundaries, adults who can make their own decisions, adults who can self-reflect. And often when, man, I can't get back to everyone like I used to, and it means a lot to me, and it's so lovely for people to write and tell me their experiences and things. And I actually feel a bit like an asshole for not like replying and stuff, and that's nobody's fault. That's just an internal me thing. But I was never like some of you know from the very beginning, my YouTube channel was small, and then it's like it's still kind of small, but it's kind of busy as well at the same time, and it's difficult for me to get back to everyone. But I have a okay, all right. I've gone way down a rabbit hole here with my brain, and I need to backtrack up the muddy slopes. The issue that I have is that there is potential for conflict of interest. I'm not ignoring on Discord. Oh my god. Stop it. I think I'm pretty active on Discord, I have to say. By the way, it's one of the perks for supporting the channel on Patreon, even on lowest tier. It does come with the Discord server access, and it's literally an amazing community. There's some really cool stories. There's some really lovely things. People are mentioning like Charlie is absent. I hope Charlie's okay. I actually hope Charlie's doing all right. You have time to get back to everyone. Helen, it's become that way. But I am active, and I'm, you know, reasonably accessible. And I hope that in the future, my software engineering... Well, actually, it's not a case of hope. That's kind of gone now. Like, I'm now a YouTuber, but I still have to babysit it for another 6 months or so. And then I'm going to be releasing, you know, like full-time mic YouTube on the world from next spring, Northern Hemisphere spring onwards. So yeah, prepare for that. Okay. Getting to diagnostic clarity. Research shows that the accuracy of autism diagnosis rises sharply with age. At 12 to 13 months, diagnostic certainty is about 50%, but it jumps up to 83% by 16 months. No shit. Quote, before age 3, autism is a provisional diagnosis, meaning the diagnosis is a working hypothesis. Who notes the intense pace of early childhood development can make definitive diagnosis challenging. While diagnoses may evolve, don't let the word provisional stop you from accessing support. Early intervention services like speech and occupational therapy are worth the weight in gold. Occupational therapy for a child, though? Who's that young? Full-time Mike YouTube. Yes. Mike is like kind of full-time at the moment, but I'm still babysitting software dev business. By next April it'll be gone. I won't be doing software dev. I mean, would I still take on the occasional contract or project? I don't know. I don't think I will. I don't want to. I don't want to. But yeah, I'd much rather do this. I treat this very seriously. I work quite hard, if I do say so myself. But you know, yeah. I wish I didn't have to sleep. Why is everyone talking about cheese? Sorry, frustrated newbie. If they really wanted to make a difference, they could start to work on, and then I missed your message. They could work on diagnostic scholarships for adults. 100%. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was not the message I wanted to pin then. It was just this one. They could work on diagnostic scholarships for adults that are undiagnosed and struggling with employment due to autism being a possibility. Just a thought. 100%. Yeah, diagnostic scholarships, 100%. Perfect. Yes, that's exactly what a charity, for example, one making over 40 million a year could do, particularly as, for example, assessments for adults can cost up to around $7,000. That's just autism, not ADHD, and it's incredibly expensive stuff. Also, some employers require formal paperwork to accommodate and to be able to access certain third sector, so charity services often require you to have a piece of paper as well, which is really, really sad. I mean, I understand why they do it. It's a filter, I suppose. But yeah, this is a problem right here. Probably the number one to fix first, I would say. Cheese is always the answer. Children initially diagnosed with ADHD are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism after age 6. Since ADHD and autism commonly coexist, identifying one should prompt thorough screening for the other. Differences between boys and girls. Autism presents similarly across boys and girls, but there are some key distinctions. Girls often mask their challenges by mirroring others' social behaviours, and their intense interests, like animals or art, appear more typical than boys' focused interests. Hang on. Oh, sorry. I was just trying to make myself larger on the screen, but never mind. May appear more typical than boys' focused interests in things like trains or numbers. This masking ability can lead to misdiagnosis as anxiety or ADHD, resulting in girls receiving autism diagnosis about 3 years later than boys, according to a report in the journal Frontiers in Psychiatry. The effort of masking frequently leads to additional anxiety and emotional challenges. Yes. Absolutely. 100%. Karen156, how do boys mask? It's more like the masking is kind of like, I suppose, gendered. So, for example, boys will interest in trains, for example, or numbers or maths or in cars or whatever. You know, a girl, like, put it another way, right? Like a girl who has an interest in a celebrity, let's go with Taylor Swift, is gonna not stand out very much. They may be so intensely interested and focused. A girl who's like super interested in ponies can name every bone in a pony's body. I don't know. It's not gonna like stand out as much if it were a boy and the animal was a, I don't know, hippo. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, girls are kind of expected to be in that under that umbrella, so therefore, you know, boys are able to be loud as well, with it sort of triggering a sort of like societal expectation. Boys are allowed to be quiet and withdrawn as well, without that triggering a societal expectation. Girls would get sort of noticed. Boys can mask with sports, yeah. Totally. I was just thinking about how I pretended to like boy bands as a kid, because that seemed to be what I should like. Yeah, I did that with football. But yeah, boy bands, again, it's another thing. Assume you had a deep interest in one. It may not have been thought of as a thing. M. Stefan, art and animals since I was 4. People thought it was normal, but the intensity was very, very strong, so it shouldn't have been deemed normal. I agree. Typical, maybe. First steps after diagnosis. An autism diagnosis brings intense emotions, but as Tulian reminds parents, nothing has changed about your child. They're still your kid. Indeed. They were always an autistic child. Nothing's changed. Rather than worry about labels, Raz suggests viewing the diagnosis as a key to understanding. It will help you better recognize who your child is and why things may be difficult for them. Securing support early is never the wrong answer. You can back off as needed, but you can't go back in time and start intervention earlier. Oh, I don't know about that. Tulian recommends Autism Speaks' free online 100 days kit. Your child's intervention plan should combine multiple approaches, the article says. This is the article, not me. Behavioural therapies like applied behaviour analysis, ABA. Developmental services like speech and occupational therapy, and educational supports. Waitlists for services like ABA can be really long, notes Tulian. Her advice? Contact behavioural intervention providers while working with your school or early intervention programme to avoid losing valuable time. That presumes there's no downside. There's nuance to everything. As you move forward, know that you're key to this process. Parent training will teach you new ways to help your child communicate and interact with balance is essential. You're a parent, not just an interventionist. It's not only okay, but it's important to just be a family sometimes. Taking care of yourself is equally key. Parents of children with autism who build a support network experience less stress and better well-being. With the right medical professionals, educators, and therapists, as well as close and reliable friends and family, your child and your family can thrive. Two-minute break. I need a 2-minute break. We've got to have a 2-minute break. Got to 100% have a 2-minute break. Like, totally need to do a 2-minute break. After that. 2-minute break. Ads will play.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves,
Hey, everybody. How was your 2-minute break? Was it good? All right, here we go. We have treating autism. Do we really need to read this? Let's do some skipping. Sorry, executive function says skip. Okay, well, there's a girl there. Interesting. There's a boy there. Okay, interesting. Purple dinosaur in the background. A centre in Gland, Switzerland. What an amazing city that's... Gland. It's called Gland. A centre in Gland, Switzerland uses applied behaviour analysis to help increase helpful behaviours and decrease harmful ones. It's called Gland. Okay. The autism gland. This... Oh yeah, the M-chat's mentioned in here. Okay, I'm just going to keep reading. And as in like skipping. Next page. What's this one about? For now, the most widely used therapy for autism is applied behaviour analysis. The therapy derives from the work of psychologist B.F. Skinner and seeks to change behaviour with carefully repeated drills and rewards. ABA, says the article, helps kids learn social, academic, motor dexterity and hygiene skills while offering positive reinforcement. When a change occurs, it's not just positive reinforcement. When a change occurs, the child receives praise or reward that they value. This can be a toy, a chance to watch a video they like, or extra chances to play. Sometimes it's like, here's the food you like. Or, here we're not having that anymore. Over time, therapy promises to promote change by reducing negative behaviours such as self-injury. ABA is not without its critics, though. In its earliest incarnation, ABA focused on trying to make autistic children behave like neurotypical children by forcing them to engage in prolonged eye contact and repeat assigned tasks. ABA has given us a structure that can be super helpful, but old-style ABA was too focused on repetition, and that's not necessary, says Lord, who has determined it's both developmentally inappropriate and, for many people with autism, harmful. She notes that today's ABA focuses more on parent and child, directed play to improve communication and social interaction. There's recognition now that ABA shouldn't be used to make autistic people indistinguishable from neurotypical people, Lord says. Instead, we should ask, what is a reasonable goal and what do you need to do to make that happen? Individualized approaches take many forms, including combining ABA with other forms of intervention, such as occupational and speech therapy. Okay, that's sweet. Dylan Dyke with nibbles left and Bill, his emotional support ducks. Those with autism can find support animals soothing. I like your emotional support ducks, mate. They are fabulous. They are very fabulous. Okay. Get an emotional support duck. That's what you're missing. Okay, that's pretty good. That's talking about animals, therapy. Great, brilliant. A fight over autism's cause, Robert F. Kennedy. Oh, let's just skip that. If you want to see my Robert F. Kennedy stuff, I've got a playlist, which I try not to have him talk on because listening to him is quite difficult. Why is somebody spraying something? Oh, right. Okay, this is the chemicals thing. Okay, let's continue. It's weed killer. It's got you all. CDC stuff. Yep. Let's skip. The origins of the anti-vaccine movement. Okay, interesting. I'm going to keep skipping. Okay, who is being overlooked? Women and girls, people of black and Latino families with autistic children. There you go. Oh, it's always the families with autistic children, not the autistic people themselves. Let's keep squidging along. The photography's great, gotta say. Time magazine is well known for this. Registered behavior technician helps Rain Parker with his applied behavior analysis therapy at Shine Pediatric Therapy in Indianapolis. More ABA. A timeline of autism. This is possibly what they should have started with. An autism timeline. Okay, very good. Let's squiz past it. Feel free to pause and rewind if you want to see it. Oops, what have I done? Have I made it go away? Oh, no. It's just an empty page, right? Okay. Squiz along. Let's move on. Okay. Ice cream. I want an ice cream now. My throat needs an ice cream. Being ready for the gap in services. Yeah, here you go. Here's a genuine thing. The writer tells how transition to adulthood helped ensure that her son and others were prepared for life as adults with autism. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff here. Intellectual disabilities, safety skill deficits and communication, social behavioral challenges. By age of 17, he could no longer live with us and had moved out to live at the school residence. Poor guy. And then all of his support is going to get pulled because he's going to be an adult. I think that's what I'm taking away from it. Antonia Myers attended a 2019 health and wellness class which trains individuals with disabilities to serve as professional support to others. Okay. Vocational work. Building independent living skills into the education plan early. The educational team should consider that anything you can't do, someone else will have to do for you in adulthood. Some of this is very American. Talking about gaps in funding relating to US services. I'm just moving on. Down syndrome. Moving on. Okay. Neurotypical and neurodiverse. The problem with labels is that simple lines can't be drawn between difference and disability. Right. Do we want to do this? Sorry, I'm just reading ahead. It's got Alison Singer in it. Okay, I think we'll do it. 1998 was a watershed year in autism, and it all started with two new words. The first, neurodiversity, was coined by Judy Singer at University of Technology in Sydney in her undergraduate thesis on the building of autism community. The other word, neurotypical, began as part of a satire. Autism activist Laura Tissencook launched a website she envisaged as a compilation of support and resources for autistic adults. One of the site's features was a fictional research centre, the Institute for the Study of the Neurologically Typical, or ISN't. The point of ISN't, said Laura, was to shine a light on how we were treated. It did so by mocking the same patronising, pathologizing voice in which traits commonly held by autistic people are described. The Institute offered such insights as neurotypical syndrome is a neurobiological disorder characterized by preoccupation with social concerns, delusions of superiority, and an obsession with conformity. It was a spoof, but one that packed a punch. It wasn't long, however, before neurodiversity stirred up controversy, especially within the autism community. Again, the language was front and center. The words disability and disorder became lightning rods, while many activists insisted that the only acceptable word was difference. but that didn't capture the experience of countless families. The problem with labels, says Daniela Mini, a writer who's parented a child with autism, is that, quote, they draw a simplistic line between disorder and difference, between undesirable and preferred. When my son was a child, it was generally accepted that curing autism was the goal. Nowadays, many people will take issue with the concept of improving, yet alone curing a person's autism. Not everyone agrees on what behaviours we should help our children eliminate and what skills to acquire. I have to let the dog in. Sorry, everyone. Sorry about that. She acknowledges that her views have changed over the decades, that she's parented a child with autism. But she also points out what made it tougher for her to arrive at her current perspective was the tone of the debates, which she suggested, you're either with us or against us. I'm with neither. I'm with both. In my son's case, autism is difference and disability. No one said that that's not the case. I don't doubt that many autistic people experience autism as a difference only. Truly, I'm glad these experiences are being voiced and heard, but it's frustrating when the autism is never disability position is generalized. I don't think, Maisie, yeah. I don't think anyone has said that autism is not a disability. Writer and autism parent Lisa Pierce-Flaws concurs. There's a lot of strange posturing around who gets to be autistic, noting that it can feel exclusionary when, for example, one second.
And you were neurodifferent, neurodeficit, and you were neurodifferent.
We're told our adopted son isn't really autistic because he experienced serious early trauma, both in utero and in infancy, which they contend must be the cause of his neurodevelopmental issues. It's as if they believe there's some sort of real autism that stems from genetic or other mysterious factors and is a result of pregnancies where the mother has done nothing wrong. We've also run into people with autistic children who see autism as aggression with a behavioural issue and therefore also not really autism. The misconceptions are both frustrating and counterproductive, says Pierce-Flaws. I think it's important to acknowledge the comorbidities. For example, my son has type 1 diabetes, can exacerbate the intensity of autism symptoms. Studies have shown that the vast majority of individuals with autism have at least one co-occurring condition, and roughly half have 4 or more. To pretend that there's only one way to be autistic, and that is everyone's level of need is equal, is just another form of marginalisation, especially for those with the highest support needs due to intellectual disability or profound communication challenges. It can be seen, it can seem that battle lines once drawn are impossible to erase, but Simon Baron-Cohen makes a strong case it doesn't have to be this way. In a 2019 article in Scientific American, Baron-Cohen described the gulf that seems to separate neurodiversity and medical models of autism. No wonder this concept is causing such divisions, he wrote, and yet he argued that the models are not mutually exclusive and can be integrated by acknowledging that autism contains huge heterogeneity, meaning difference. We can and must make space for both. Alison Singer, she's the lady who, she's the driving off the bridge lady, says, as in every social movement, contestation and conflict are inevitable and should come as no surprise, adding the counsel that we should be patient with each other, however difficult it can be at times, because it's through disputation that we will push boundaries and new pathways forward. All right. Thank you, Alison. A lifelong condition. What autistic adults and their families wish others would understand. Autistic adults are not children in big bodies. That kind of infantilization is so damaging. This attitude precludes autistic adults from accessing the sexual education that they need to navigate dating, relationships, and sexuality safely. Amy spends a lot of time talking about sex and dating. That's why we're talking about sex. Okay. Meanwhile, Jack, 21, is not there. It's just his mother saying he keeps me cool. Okay. Gravina and Ursula are just two of an estimated 5.4 million US adults with autism. Both will need lifelong support and knowledgeable healthcare providers to help them reach their highest potential. but the nature of those supports is vastly different. Gravino, who was diagnosed at autism level 1, he definitely wasn't diagnosed at autism level 1. Okay, we know what he mean. We know what they mean, but it's a weird way to phrase it. At age 11, went on to earn a master's degree in ABA and is a published author. She was even a finalist for the role dating coach Jennifer Cook ended up landing on Love on the Spectrum, the hit Netflix docuseries that allowed viewers to see that many autistic adults dream of forging romantic relationships. Where do they think autism comes from? They've already said that it's predominantly genetic. Yet while Asserti may have a goofy sense of humour and knows how to make his love of Bruno Mars clear, he can't share any quotes about his favourite artist. Diagnosed at age 2, he's non-verbal with a severe intellectual disability. The gap between what they're both capable of and what each requires serves as a concise illustration of just how difficult it can be to craft coherent policies and systems to support autistic adults. One size does not fit all. I wish the general public knew that autism doesn't just go away when a person becomes an adult, says Zoe Tepper, a student at Arizona State University. Tepper's among a growing number of those who serve as consultants to regional and national autism organisations, providing needed insight into what it's like to experience the world through the lens of a neurological condition that can affect everything from sensory processing to communication and impede employment, housing and other aspects of daily life. Yes. I reckon the Advocate there provided their own paragraph. I reckon when Time Magazine reached out to them, they were like, "This is who I am," and then they gave them a quote and they put the quote in there. That's what's happened there. As Alison Singer, president of the Autism Science Foundation, notes, "You're an adult longer than you're a kid. There needs to be more recognition that the population is aging and that there's a diversity of needs." We agree. Alison, we agree. In most states, when people turn 22, they lose access to the patchwork of resources provided by schools and developmental services. It's 18 over here. This can leave families, even those who went through the federally mandated transition to adulthood process and set up plans for employment, post-secondary education, adult living, scrambling to find sources for funding and support. Yes. The waiting list for supported housing and other programming can be as long as 10 years, very dependent on where you live. Absolutely, this is a massive issue. At the same time, better understanding and testing for the disorder means that more adults who were thought not to be on the spectrum are now receiving formal diagnoses. They've always been here, Gravino says. In the past, they were not diagnosed or they were ignored, but that's not an option anymore. Not only are they here, but many seek to be accepted, active, and vital members of society. He's working as a job coach for other autistic adults and works with disabled children. Very cool. Oh, that's him there. Does anyone know that chap? Andrew Arbery? Autistic adults require proper medical care. One group seeking to improve access to treatment is Echo Autism Communities, a virtual learning platform designed to share information with a larger medical community. Totally. Shortage of housing. Hey guys, are you ready for this? Hey Pardelo, you're just in time for love. On the... Oh, wrong one. Stop it.
Neurodeficit, and you were neurodifferent. Neurodeficit, and you were neurodifferent.
People with autism have the same hopes as those without. Danny Bowman and Aidan went on a few dates on Love on the Spectrum, but they ended up not pursuing a relationship. Where's the conversation about it? They're talking about services still. Is that it? Sorry, everyone. There is more on Love on the Spectrum. There is. It is in here. The pervasive loneliness of autism. Wow. Look, I know this artwork is meant to represent loneliness, but actually that looks like a really fucking nice afternoon to me. Like, like I know this. Look, I appreciate that this is like lonely, right? This is like ChatGPT, draw me a picture of a lonely autistic person. But actually, that's kind of sweet. I like that. I'd be looking for mushrooms. Oh, I found some really fucking cool mushrooms, everyone. And like, I don't really know what they are. I just think, oh, they're pretty and interesting and different. But like, he might be on the Discord. He might be playing, or she, or whoever. They might be, you only see the left hand. The right hand is actually on the Discord server. And they're like taking pictures of all of the shit that they see in nature. And then they're sharing it. That's what's going on in this. They're actually on the Discord and they're like in the nature channel posting all nature shit. That's what's happening in there. Okay, moving on. I'm not saying loneliness isn't an issue. This person appears to be having 3 adult babies. Maybe this is how autism spreads. Do you see the spoons in the background? There are actual spoons. Guys. Look in the background.
I like rusty spoons.
There's actual spoons. There's 4 spoons.
I like to touch them.
And this person appears to be giving birth to 3 adults. Fully dressed adults. With shoes and everything and haircuts and all of the things.
I like rusty spoons.
Yes, you do. Good video today, by the way. Right, moving on. Can we please get sanity back? Addressing the loneliness epidemic in the disabled community necessitates a nuanced understanding of independence. I'm just having a little... Where do I find the spoon trees? Just let me know. A social buffer. What people with autism can teach us about mental resilience. Okay. Right, we're doing this. Hang on. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm not going to be very chatty during the after party. Scrolling through social media, we are bombarded by pictures of our friends' vacations and fitness achievements. Not me, because I don't use social media. I'm just on the Discord, and if you want to post pictures from any of your vacations, I love to see them vicariously. But no, Facebook and Instagram. I do use the Autistic AF ones, but I post occasionally, but not as often as I should. And yes, it's very bad for your mental health. I think that's probably true. While we may be happy for them, these social comparisons, evaluations of oneself relative to others, can leave us feeling inadequate and dissatisfied. This may be especially true for young people. Recent studies have found that social media use is associated with negative social comparisons, no shit, and leads to some reduced well-being, more envy, and greater depressive symptoms. Some scholars, such as social psychologist Jonathan Haidt, PhD, link the detriments of social media and its poisonous social comparison to mental health crises in adolescents, arguing for a cell phone ban in schools. Social media is all but unavoidable in people's lives, and of course it also has its benefits. But this then begs the question, is there a way we can navigate social media without continuing to incur its possible toll on mental health? That's like me, but with a phone case that is not falling apart. Autistic and neurotypical individuals express emotions like envy differently. Is that true? Sorry. A study showed the brain regions involved in understanding the mental states of others may function differently, and oh, not this fucking theory of mind shit again. And I mean, yes, it's theory of mind. This is basically autistic people lack. In fact, I'll read the yellow thing. Autistic people may feel maybe less likely to feel bad after a negative social comparison because they are less likely to consider what is going on in other people's minds. A psychological process known as making shit up. Can you see it? Autistic people may be less likely to feel bad after a negative social comparison because they are less likely to consider what is going on in other people's minds. A psychological process known as making shit up. Known as perspective taking or theory of mind. Baron Cohen wouldn't say this, and he's the guy behind it all. Neither would Francesca Happy. That's not what they say. That's not what their research says. None of it is that. That's absolute total shite. That is the worst shite I've seen in here so far. Okay. You're basically social media doesn't hurt you because you haven't got a fucking clue what's going on in people's brains. So basically, you see someone having a nicer life or whatever, and you go, no, I haven't got a fucking clue what's going on in their brain. It's the most weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's utterly bonkers. It's Sally Ann. You go from a fucking marble. Where's the marble? Well, I don't know. Maybe Sally or Anne is a prankster and maybe she knows that she's already checked. Why wouldn't she look in the basket? Because, do you know what? I can't see it in the fucking room. Right. The outcome of that test tells us something. It tells me that it sounds like the yellow box is projecting. Yes. I'm autistic, I'm disabled, but not like that. Look. No, Hydra, please don't pull the cable. This is what all of the signal is going through. You can't pull the cable. Oh, Hydra, baby. Hydra, baby is wet. As we were saying, how the understanding of the autism disorder has evolved. Fuck that. Keep scrolling. Right, we're nearly at Mother's story. Fluffy wet cat is Hydra, baby. Okay. Oh fuck no! No! No, no. Believe in yourself. No, no. Autism Speaks banner. You can't see it because it's tiny. But behind the man's shoulder is an Autism Speaks banner. Fucking knew it. Palm Beach School. Well, I can't criticize them too heavily. I guess they don't. Oh, it's a school for autism. Oh shit. Is that where you learn how to be autistic? Okay, Palm Beach. Hey, it looks like a nice beach. I'll be honest with you. I love that the kid has got like Mjolnir hammer. I think if I could fundraise for the school, it would be to give every single autistic child there a massive fucking hammer. Just see what happens. Right, okay. Yeah, that's an Autism Speaks walk. Raising money for the celebrity galas. They don't have enough hammer. Brown person number 3. Yeah, token. I probably should be too rude because there is a token in there, but this is part of the issue. The kid's going to hold lightning. He's got He's going to summon so much autism powers. Autism in popular culture. Media has slowly recognised those in the spectrum and given artists and writers with autism a chance to be seen and heard. In Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman finds it disruptive when the walk sign changes to don't walk. He is then unable to continue crossing the streets because, as we know, Rain Man, oh my God, they've actually done... Nope. This might help. They've actually done Rain Man. Oh my God, it's all about Rain Man. 82 observes Raymond Babbitt as he scans the toothpicks spilled on the diner's floor. The brother Charlie asks 82 what, to which Raymond monotonously replies, 246 total. The waitress notes that while the box came with 250 toothpicks, 4 didn't spill out. Curious about his brother's unusual mathematical prowess and how he memorised such a large chunk of a phone book overnight, Charlie takes Raymond to see a doctor. Ray, the doctor asks, do you know how much the square root of 2,130 is? He quickly answers, 46.151923400. Oh shit, I got that wrong. When the doctor asks if Raymond is autistic, he slowly responds, I don't think so, no, most definitely not. Most moviegoers who flocked to see Rain Man in 1988 were like the doctor's nurse. He's artistic. Okay, as if that wasn't clear enough. Rain Man. Leonardo DiCaprio, Artie Grape in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, enjoys repetitive play such as hiding in a tree alongside his home. Interesting. Has anyone seen that movie? Is it good? It's called What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I don't even know that I've even heard of the movie. Do they mention the awful music film? Oh, music. Maybe. Claire Danes portrayed Temple Grandin in a film about the scientist's early years and work. Yeah, fair enough. In Extraordinary Attorney Woo, Young... Oh, sorry. I was going to say Young Woo Woo. Woo Young Woo is hyperfixated on whales. Narwhals, from every kind from blue to humpback. She also has echolalia repeating kayak. Deirdre to new race car. A string of palindromes, words that spell the same forwards and backwards. And show introduces herself. As the show progresses, Ruth slowly yearns to use rotating doors, accepted by her neurotypical colleagues, and uses her crackerjack knowledge of law to win tough cases. Gilbert Grape's a terrible movie, is it? You studied at high school English. Okay. Julia. Julia was created, by the way, autistic character, dead center there, just underneath, just by Big Bird. Okay. Julia was created with ASAN before being taken over by Autism Speaks. The TV show Atypical is about a young man fascinated by penguins. Love on the Spectrum, reality show about the struggles and triumphs of dating, romance, and sex. Something most people grapple with. I mean, sex doesn't always involve grappling, I suppose. Depends. I'm going to kink shame. It's not. It is. We would say after the watershed in the UK / Isle of Man, but it's not true everywhere in the world. In the same process, it reveals the common humanity we all share, as well as the regular challenges autistic people face. In 2022, on As We See It, Emmy-winning Friday Night Lights writer Jason Katims, who is a father of an autistic son, created a show that follows 3 autistic actors, Rick Glassman, Sue Ann Peen, and Al Rubitz Ritecki, who play 20-something roommates exploring the joys and frustrations of life. For younger audiences, the writing and voice cast of 2017's Pablo is made up of people with autism. The Irish and British children's show is a combination of live-action animation. Okay. Moving on to A Tea and Tales book is coming. There you go. Reason I Jump. I Am Greta is a 2020 film that follows a Swedish environmental activist, Greta Thunberg, who was diagnosed at level 1. Man, what's this obsession with levels? Why do we have to have level? Like, do you think when Greta Thunberg was in Israel recently. I think she's just been deported from Israel. Do you think when she was in a cell with not much food and just a hard floor to lie down on, what level autism do you think Greta Thunberg had then? When she was apparently wrapped in an Israeli flag? I don't know. Why have we got... That means more numbers can be measured. Yeah, sort of. I'm just saying, what are we doing with level numbers now? Was she diagnosed at level 1? Or was she diagnosed with Asperger's? No, she's been deported. Books have been a mainstay for presenting perspectives on the disorder. Mark Haddon's 2003 Whitbread Award winning The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime is about Christopher John Francis Boone, a 15-year-old English boy who, as latter-day Sherlock Holmes, looks into the death of a neighbour's dog. Abby Romeo and David Isaacman met on the reality show Love on the Spectrum and are now in a long-term relationship. That's a nice photograph, to be honest. Some of the faces of autism. Considering that there are more than 75 million people with autism in the world, it's no surprise that a number of prominent people have been diagnosed. I mean, who'd have thought it? Certain symptoms, such as restricted interests or savant syndrome, may even set up autistic people to excel, whether it's in science or entertainment or sport. Bill Gates. Bella Ramsey. Oh, big shot of Bill Gates there. Very good. Yep, I needed to see that for some reason. Moving on. I know I can never be restful. I tend to multitask. I decided I'm not going to paint and I'll spend 24 hours painting. Anthony Hopkins on Being on the Spectrum. We all know what that's like. With hyperfixations. Okay. What's on his top? His racing fire suit has got some interesting symbology on it. Armani Williams, the NASCAR driver. I wanted to prove to everyone that autism can be a strength, not a weakness. Anthony Hopkins, yep. Moving on. Click. Temple Grandin, Greta Thunberg. The diagnosis was the almost only positive for me. It helped me get the support I needed and made me understand why I was like this. Helen Huang, am I saying that correct? Who wrote The Kiss Quotient, which follows the love life of an autistic woman. She had recently been diagnosed and was trying to make sense of what it meant. The heroine, Stella, deals with a lot of insecurity about herself because she's also on the spectrum. Daryl Hannah, actor. As a child, Hannah suffered from debilitating shyness. At one point, doctors even wanted to put her in an institution. Although her mother refused, she began pursuing her movie career at age 17, but the Splash and Kill Bill star often skipped out on talk shows and premieres. Over the years, she learned how to cope with her symptoms by leading a quiet life, mostly out of the public eye, living off the grid with her animals. And moving on. A Mother's Journey. I need a 2-minute break because of all of the talking. 2 minutes, adverts might play. Do feel free to hang around and we'll hit up A Mother's Journey because I know some of you are looking forward to this part. So we'll make sure we do it. That's what I'm saying.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things. Mountain in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, golden. I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things.
Okay, all right. So, a mother's journey. Let's take a look. Learning that her young child was maybe autistic. I don't know what music to have for this. I really don't. Probably this one. Was the writer's first step in ensuring that he would have a fulfilling life. No problem so far. I'm just saying. Tiny shark, do, maybe. Maybe autistic. Those are the words a psychiatrist quietly said after evaluating our 18-month-old son, Nate. My husband, Fred, and I had scheduled the appointment on the advice of relatives who work with special needs kids and recognise developmental milestones when a toddler reaches age 1. Fred and I navigated a bumpy road to parenthood. There were fertility injections, a very colorectomy, miscarriage, and even an adoption scammer in Syracuse before we finally reached 3-month-old Gustavo, our Nate Gustavo in Paraguay. But maybe autistic? We had, oh, hang on, sorry. But maybe autistic? We had no roadmap. Later that day, I'd stopped crying. I called Barbara, a paediatric speech therapist I'd met socially. She met with the three of us the next day. Nate was non-verbal and zipped around in her office like a self-propelled buzzsaw. That's a really good imagery, I like that. Thankfully, in Barbara, we found a guide for what lay ahead. She became the first member of the team of professionals who we formed who would help Nate and us. We dubbed Barbara our captain, and she quickly hit on Nate's love of music, which she used as a key to unlock his language. I bolstered those lessons every night when I'd sing Nate to sleep. I had no idea that the lyrics were finding their way into Nate's exceptional memory until the day he joined me in singing Cheek to Cheek. Nate personalises each song by adding the name of his first crush to the lyrics, so Elvis Presley's I Can't Help Falling in Love with You became I Can't Help Falling in Love with Andrea. Besides his memory, another of Nate's extraordinary abilities is his hand-eye coordination, which he delightfully puts to use by tossing... Bear with me. Click. Yep, he likes trains. Obviously, he's got boy autism. Objects like pebbles, and once my wedding ring, onto razor-thin ledges. And if a ledge is moving, such as a ceiling fan, he might fling a spoonful of mashed potatoes. Great shot, Natey, was the admiring reaction of our host during one Thanksgiving dinner. Of course, strangers were not always cheering Nate's aberrant behaviour, such as when he'd crawl over everyone on the bus to reach his favourite last window seat. Because of that, we always needed to know the lay of the land before venturing anywhere, even a new park with a fountain where Nate might strip and wade in among the toddlers when he was no longer a toddler. Like many Manhattan residents, we didn't own a car, so we travelled out of town by train to visit family. Yes, there were challenges, but when Nate was 4, there was only one thing I felt was missing. I really want to adopt another baby, I told Fred. But what if he or she has special needs, he asked. Well, I answered, then we'll be experts. A year later, we flew to Florida to welcome 2-day-old Joey. Now I thought I had everything, everyone I'd ever wanted, but my world changed one warm June evening 10 weeks later when Nate was asleep on his room and Joey in a bassinet on the foot of our bed. As Fred lay beside me, he hollered once and then went silent. Oh gosh. He'd had a heart attack and collapsed into a coma. The next night, as I waited in hospital, I sobbed to my brother Jeff, "Fred can't die, who will give Nate his shots," for which I meant injections of the medicines prescribed for him. Fred died that night. 2 days later, I was practiced giving injections by jabbing a navel orange. It was my first lesson as a single mum. I didn't follow all of that, but that seemed really quite traumatic. When Nate was 10, his language and motor skills were improving, yet somehow I felt that he was capable of more, although I didn't know what more looked like. Open to anything, I visited a residence program outside of Boston where a friend's son was enrolled. I was impressed, but the idea of Nate living away from me was still a lot to grasp. So when an unexpected opening popped up 2 weeks later, I asked every teacher and other professional who had ever worked with Nate to weigh in. The consensus was, try it. About a week after I'd enrolled Nate, I got a call from one of his teachers asking me to send a pair of sneakers with laces. Why use laces when there's Velcro, I asked. Because learning to tie shoes is a life skill, the teacher told me. Oh, I thought, so this is what more looks like. Joey would notice changes when we visited or brought Nate home. His brother would always confuse the pronouns I and you. During one of Nate's visits, Joey told me excitedly, "Did you hear that, Mum?" Nate said, "I want to play," instead of "you want to play." He's becoming unautistic. Nate would have remained at that residence if the state of New York hadn't curtailed its funding for out-of-state residential schools. After Nate returned home, I visited other potential places for him. Then I found the Center for Discovery, located on 1,500 acres of rolling hills in New York's Hudson Valley. The center is home to residential and day programs for individuals with complex disabilities, medical frailties, and autism. During my tour, I learned that residents' daily tasks might include feeding the goats, donkeys, and sheep, and recreation included swimming, horseback riding, and canoeing. The residents and staff seemed so happy. Again, the gods are with us. When a spot opened up a few weeks later, I didn't need help in making my decision. Nate moved to the center when he was 17, but there was no guarantee a permanent place would be available for him in the adult program once he turned 21 and aged out of the pediatric program. So when I received the call... Maisie, you weren't on the side, were you? I think I might have just caught Maisie's counter surfing. Okay. So when I received a call in 2011 asking if I wanted Nate to join the adult residence program for a lifetime placement, words fell me through my heart screamed yes. Today, Nate shares a roomy 3-story house with 6 other young men. Each has his own bedroom and bathroom. Nate helps with meal prep, does his laundry, cleans his home, and assists with household chores. His Social Security and Medicaid benefits cover the cost. We live across the Hudson River, and Nate's wonderful stepdad Rick, a blessed addition to his life, brings Nate home during the holidays. Nate's farm chores are varied and do indeed include feeding the goats and calves, gathering maple syrup, and harvesting vegetables. Nate's quite outgoing. He remembers the name of every person he's ever met. That is his photographic mind at work. So delivering the centre's newsletter in town allows him plenty of opportunities to engage with the community. As for activities, the staff at the centre set the bar high. Nate learned ballroom dancing and yoga, and once when I called him, he told me he was reading the poem Ozymandias by British poet Percy Bysshe Shelley. Then again, a week later, he told me, "I'm eating pancakes with tequila." His being so verbal is a blessing I have never taken for granted, particularly during the isolation periods of the pandemic when we would chat almost daily. Sabre and Hydra just opened the door. There's a saying that goes, if you met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Each one is unique and is his or her journey. Apologies. Years ago, Joey said to me, "You know, Mum, if Nate wasn't autistic, he'd probably just be some surly teenager, or today at 31, some ever-texting entitled millennial. I'll just take Nate the way he is." Recently, we got word that he's been cast in the centre's upcoming performance of Cats. If I close my eyes, I can see and hear Nate now. Memory, all alone in the moonlight. Andrea. That's the end. That is literally the end. That's it. It sounds like he's got that's institutional, but still quite remarkable. It sounds like a very nice a very nice place to be. I suppose it kind of depends on your housemates as well. It depends on their level of challenges and support. If you have someone with significantly higher support needs than Nate in the same house, they might have challenges or behaviors to manage. Who knows? I thought the story was quite sad halfway through, particularly. But yeah, I think it's a nice story. If he's in a place where he's being supported and can live a good life, I think it's not too bad. That's not de facto standard. Understanding autism. I think this is just a lot of pictures. Yeah, that's it. That's it. My autism is awesome. Not sure about the sign. I'm very proud of myself and who I am, I suppose. But still, I don't know. I suppose it's much better than saying I'm awesome. Just get out the sign. But I wish all of you had the same amount of, what's the word, like confidence and self-esteem to hold up a massive fucking sign that says that you're awesome. I hope that's the case for everyone. I think quite a few of us would prefer not to get spotted and would probably opt not for a sign and just to hide. But still. Yeah, what do we think, everyone? Like, we have actually looked at basically the whole thing. So, how did that go? Was it worth it? Did you enjoy that? Was it fun? I have more autism magazines. How is it going? This is the part where if you wanted to sort of send a message, you wanted to see it, now is a really good time. Red Gen, so would I. I'd be a different person about autism. Yeah, me too. Actually, there you go. I'll pop you on stream briefly. There you go. It was certainly words. Oh my goodness, it was a lot of words. A lot of repetition. Yeah, I thought that was a nice, hopeful kind of feel-good story, sort of. I felt terrible for her losing her partner, though. Unexpected in places, but informative. 90% BS, problematic. Hang on a second. I'm going to do a poll. Okay. What? Please. On how much you liked it. From 5 equals lots and lots. To 1. Not. No. Okay. 5, 4, hang on, 3, 2. I can't do 1. Oh my goodness, I can't. I've got to rewrite it. Okay, so 4 is lots and lots, and 1 is no. Okay, 1, 2. Snow Kitty, you're welcome. Okay, everyone, there's a poll up. I believe you can change your answer if you click the wrong one. I think you can. Basically, could you just rate the Time magazine based on how you liked it, or you're going to have to map that, Yannicka. Like, I would say whether or not, this is not rating my performance in reading it to you. I just want you to give me your feelings, your sentiment towards towards all of those articles together. Could you do it using the poll feature, please, on YouTube? I'm hoping you can see it. Like, I can't see the poll. I've like tried to make a poll, but I don't see it. I've just got spinning. Okay, hang on. I have to do it again. Hang on. Right, here we go. Right. Start a poll. Right, I'm doing it again. Here's the poll. I'm sorry. Here it is. Right, here we go. Is that going to work now? Finally, there's a poll. YouTube. Okay, here we go. So on YouTube, there is now a poll. There's only 4 options. 4 is you thought that the magazine was good. It's not about the live stream. You're not rating the live stream. You're not rating me. Please click like though on the stream. If you haven't hit like, please do that because it tells the YouTube overlords that, you know, I did okay. That is rating me. Or press dislike if you don't like it. But just give me a sentiment, give me a sense of feeling based on what you thought about their coverage. If you thought it was you know, good, fair, accurate, whatever, interesting, whatever metric you want to use. Did you appreciate it? What they've written? My personal feelings, it could have been worse. My personal feelings are could have been worse. They were heavy on the deficit-based language. Didn't really ask much journalistic in terms of journalistic questions. They did ask for experiences. Adults really took a back seat, but they were in there a bit. They weren't in there much, were they? Just like they got some autistic advocates and got them quoted in there. More of that, please. Charlie, you have been missed, by the way. Welcome. Sorry if you didn't want to be perceived by me calling you out like that. I saw some messages of people saying, "Is Charlie here?" or something like that. And I'm like, oh no, what's happened? Hope Charlie's okay. What did you think? Charlie, I basically, and anyone else who's arrived reasonably late, I've effectively read the whole time. 100 pages. Mostly pictures, to be fair. It's mostly pictures and white space. Right. How do we? Sorry for hitting that. I appreciate. Sorry if that caused a disturbance in your hearing. Okay. So top score 6%, 35%, 47% go to. I'd say kind of like the median score is going to look somewhere like 2.2 or something. Is that way? No, it's this way. Sorry. Just drawing a curve, but that's like super slanted to the left-hand side, which is over here, which is my right, which is weird for me, but still over here, super slanted. I don't find it a lot of info worth reading if it's from normative experience. It did seem to have some reasonably accurate info, but conflated too much stuff. Granted, I agree with you. Yeah, that's my view on it as well. I feel like they conflated a lot. I feel like they didn't ask questions. I feel like they're, you know, quite happy to just say, oh, autism is this or autism is that without asking like why. There's nothing in there about why the research. They have a timeline, which was just a factual little timeline of autism, you know, big events, you know, big researchers, whatever, famous researchers. But honestly, meh. And then they're like, oh, neurodiversity came in here. Which is a bit like, this is when everyone went woke. But I'm glad that they covered sort of pre-Asperger as well. It's all in there. Cup, thank you for being here. Interesting votes on the polls, everyone. Less than half of you voted, but you know. But could be worse. The bar is in hell. Yeah. Yeah. It could be worse. I suppose. Is that wrong of me? Give me a fit check, everyone. Is that wrong to say? Base my opinion on the fact that it isn't the worst thing in the world. Maybe an okay introduction for someone who's clueless. Maybe, yeah, Red Jen, yeah, maybe. I feel like polls didn't show for everyone for reasons. Yeah, see, I don't know what's going on with the polls tonight. You could go cave diving and still be higher than the bar. Yeah. A fit check. Yeah, I suppose like a vibe check. Like, I wasn't literally asking for an opinion on my top. I was like, I'm trying to say, like, my feeling is that My expectation is very low. My expectation is nearly on the floor. Jansen, I didn't think much to it, but I'm harsher to comes to journalism. Vocals Unleashed. You're voting on the last sort of 3 hours. Attention is just how critical we should be of good intent when it comes from a fundamentally ignorant place. Yeah, that makes... Yeah. Autism speak still taken seriously, so below ground. Yeah. I think it made sense that they sort of spoke to them. I loved your reading of this in the honest comments during stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Vocals Unleashed. I think this stream is well worth a rewatch. I think it is actually, I know I would say that, I guess, but like, I think this is an interesting piece of content in and of itself. It's not just me, but, you know, we have created this collaboratively. It's an interesting view, I suppose, right? My expectation was low as well. Consider target audience American public. Time Magazine is quite highbrow though, isn't it? Am I wrong? If you heard that click, it was my joint. I don't know if you heard my joint clicking. Yeah, my opinion, my impression of Time Magazine is it's quite prestigious. It's a bit highbrow. It's you know, it's quite an honor to be featured in Time Magazine some way or another. I couldn't find a physical copy of it, so I had to purchase it electronically. I'm not sure Mike, Hitler, and Trump were at Time, I believe. It's not the Nobel Peace Prize, but it's kind of like it's prestigious insofar as, I mean, Musk's on the face of Time Magazine as well. But then again, like, you know what I mean, like a person of the year, I suppose, or a, you know, someone that's notable, kind of get covered by Time Magazine. There's no coherence when the information presented, discrepancies not addressed. Yeah. Adolf Hitler was named Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 1938. Well, one media in the US is dumbed down. They had some pretty pictures. I actually thought, and I'm sorry about this, by the way, I actually thought Love on the Spectrum had a more prominent position in the magazine, rather than having some photos of the cast and a few one-liners, really, about them. There's not even really as much as a paragraph on Love on the Spectrum, and I feel like Love on the Spectrum itself is a thing to talk about. It's a piece of popular culture. It is disability first, but it's, oh, you know what my feelings are. If you haven't seen my neuroperversity spoof, consider yourself blessed. Okay, so the poll has settled on predominantly not the worst thing in the world. That's where the poll is. The poll is, how do you feel about it? Yes. That's basically... Okay. Charlie, you have a whole video to watch when you want some body doubling. This whole thing. I'm sorry, it's been quite a long piece of work. I'm like, you can probably hear me losing my voice. Including tired ADHD is hitting the wrong button. Yeah. Yeah. And you probably saw me flagging towards the middle end, 2/3 of the way in. a resounding result of meh. Abbreviated call username. Yeah, it's a profound. It exists. I expected more of a time issue, and there was cacker out there, but I give magazine thumbs down. Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, I guess I mean, they're not going to talk to me, are they? But like, I would love to give them a couple of prompts or at least some sound bites. I'd love to just some of the stuff that's in there. The bit that I really took exception to was the theory of mind. Just the theory of mind deficits. Oh, see you, Anik. See you around. The theory of mind deficits was just. That is not an autism exclusive. Love on the Spectrum is guilty for refusing to pay them an acting gig wage. That's changed now, Maricat. So to let you know, they've done the casting call for the next season. And they are offering to pay now. Details depend, and I'm presumably everyone's going to be NDA'd, but you know, I think the producers have heard the noise about not paying the cast. The cast are going to be paid now on Love on the Spectrum. What? How much? When? Conditions? No one knows. Forget the details, everyone. We just have to be blasé about it. But yeah. And it is something. Just pay or they get royalties too. I mean, Phil, I feel like you're being a bit neurodivergent about this now. Just be neurotypical and just go, that's fine, and then move on. Donut. I don't know where that came from. They're paid with an ABA voucher per episode. Yeah, exactly. Like the details, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like redeemable at your local therapy office. Hell, I mean. But yeah, the theory of mind stuff was just the deficit language pathologizing was a bit much. In fact, I think not only my expectations low for any media, really, anything to do with autism, my expectations are very low. But part of me is also kind of mourning the fact that we can't have like a really good debate and a conversation about certain aspects of autism or neurodiversity, or actually have some really good, there are some interesting conversations. Something that, you know, interests me is the overlap, the Venn diagram, the pancakes, the sort of, you know, LGBTQ plus I, etc. pancake and autism pancake, for example. We know autism and ADHD pancakes kind of overlie quite heavily. There are loads of studies giving different numbers. Some of the numbers are really, really high. Some of the numbers are not so high, but it is quite high. It's like more likely than not, you're an ADHDer. I'm not saying you have to be, or I'm not saying one is, but I'm just saying it just, you know, is what it is. And it's quite interesting to see how all these different pancakes, this Venn diagram kind of sits. And I'm just interested in how that crosses over. Be nice to know. But I don't know that we're ever going to. Where do I get autism pancake? I prefer waffles. You prefer soup? Didn't sound like any autistic person was interviewed or involved at all. They had some autistic adults later on, you know, giving sound bites. It was less than 1% of the total coverage, like for sure. It's 100 pages, and you know, autistic adults didn't really feature much in it, and when they did, it was just little sound bites. So. I think part of the issue, yeah, granted. So I think part of the issue is that the conversation is focused on children, and I think children would be better served if it wasn't. If it wasn't so, Kids. Early. Not just any kids, but within 1-year-olds, 18-month-olds. Got to get them. M-chat. Okay, right. Sign Up to Autism Speaks. I think they would be better served with a bit more kind of nuance. They could have interviewed Dr. Devon Price. Yeah. Dr. Tony Atwood, I think, should be up there. I think even Simon Baron Cohen. I think there are some big names that are right up there in a, hey, look, could we talk to you about this? Give us a quote about the rising rate in autism prevalence. Give us a quote. Just, you know what I mean? They could have gotten some sound bites from any of these people. They're going to talk about teenagers with autism too, true. Ash, take care. Thank you for being here. I could possibly do a poll on YouTube asking about waffles and pancakes. Do we feel strongly about this? How strong do we feel? Is this something for the wider autism community to weigh in on? Of course, it's deficit centered or symptoms labeled as disorder. Yeah. What makes it disordered? We have some maple syrup in the cupboard. But it's also kind of late. And I'll need to go make a sandwich, like, prior to / in the after party. And I was trying to pick up a couple of extra games for the after party, but Steam was down earlier today. Don't know if any of you noticed that. The Steam was down. Or any of the ADHD psychologists and ADHD chat. Yeah! I feel like, honestly, they could have interviewed more just general autistic adults or even ADHDers. They could absolutely have just had a standard conversation and gotten some reasonable responses. But, it also was interesting to me how there were about 3 or 4 psychiatrists in that magazine who were overused throughout. It was like they were on retainer and they could just like call them whenever or just email them and get them to weigh in. And I feel like that is what has skewed it. I think that's why that Time magazine special was skewed. I think it was because, they had some quite pathologizing experts, which they referred to on more than one of the segments. They have a Time ADHD special edition, do they? When did that come out? Oh, yeah. 2025? Oh, hang on. 2018? 2025? Time did ADHD as well? What the hell? What's Time magazine doing? What's Time magazine doing? They did ADHD as well. There's an ADHD one from this year. Oh man, autism and ADHD are so hot right now. What's going on? Isn't it? I'm just typing to be in the video. Welcome. I couldn't even possibly begin to pronounce your name, but you did drop a lot of punctuation. What about those other mags you had? Are they any good? I don't know. I haven't read them. They're up there. I've got a couple. So yeah, it'll be good to go through those. We'll do those maybe, I don't know, maybe like a after party type thing. Not tonight because my voice, but maybe another day. All the media is realizing ADHD is making content creation. We're all going, content creators, anyone, yeah, I think there's so much ADHD going on. I don't think this live stream would exist without it. I think it's a necessary component. Right. I have to make a sandwich, and we also have to do a after party, which is held on the Discord, which is part of the community, which is a perk of my Patreon. Like I mentioned earlier, like I'm in this for the long haul now. You're going to start seeing a lot more Autistic AF content. Please don't attack my book, Sabes. Saber is testing the theory of gravity again. Can you hear him? Please don't knock it over. Saber. If you do that, I have to pay car tax. And if you knock that over, then it's not going to get done. Oh, clipping toenails. Oh, no. That was me doing this. I'm sorry. Oh, it was me doing this. I like doing this. I do this a lot. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm sure you all have your own things that you like, but I like doing that. I can appreciate it sounds a bit like a weird kind of nail clipper, but sorry, everyone. I'll stop. I can't stop. I have to do something with my hands. Just because that's how things go. I have to. Now I'm aware that I can't do it because it's making noise. How to join colleagues? Well, the thing is, this is fine now. It's just the thing. Sorry, we're nearly at this time of year. I've just noticed I've got this. Look.
Hey, baby.
Do you remember this? Is everyone? We've nearly this again.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly.
It's nearly time.
'Tis the season to be jolly. Dawn we now are gay.
What do you think? Do you remember this?
Apparel.
Oh, they're so much bigger now.
Troll the
Helen, we need a...
ancient Yuletide carol.
Men's hydro obs. Yeah, sorry, I made that before a live stream. Okay, right, that wasn't... I just realised I don't usually use Restream, which is what I'm using now, and it just so happened that I had that in there. I've also got the Hydra Rising one, but we do have Halloween first, but it's not here. I can't find it. But I have this. So I'll see you soon. Otherwise, if you're not joining in, then I have more videos coming out, lots more videos coming out, happy videos coming out, and I've got... Hang on a second. Right, let's pause that for a sec. Let me just do this, okay? I've got tons of videos coming out. There's loads of cool things happening on this channel. I've got a few things that are real drags on me right now. One of them is my ABA stuff. And I know full well I'm going to release a video. It's going to get demonetized and YouTube's going to tank it. But I'm sorry, it's coming, it's happening, and it's not going to be long away now that I have managed to get through all the training. It only took 6 months. The annoying thing is that so much of it is supervised training. And I had to make time for it. It's annoying. The other thing is, I also am still transitioning. I'm transitioning, or detransitioning from a software engineer to a YouTube content creator. And you know, it's not as a clean transition as I would like. But basically, by April, there's no more software in my life. That is unbelievably scary. I can't begin to tell you. The other thing is, 2025 has been shit. No two ways to put it. This year has not been what I expected. I've only been on YouTube now for nearly 2 years. Like, holy shit, so much has happened. But 2025 has been a real drag. Because, well, obviously all of the stuff, Charlie, I'm transitioning. I was aware when the words came out of my mouth that it could be taken. I'm not trying to minimize. You're doing great. And Charlie, if it wasn't for you, then the boob tape would never have been a thing. And but 2025 has been absolutely fucking awful, and I had so many hopes for it. And there's obviously the political stuff that's going on. My mum got broken by the hospital, which has been the worst bit for me personally. As a family, it's been really difficult. And I've had so many problems with projects relating to the fact that my career is changing to YouTube, but it's at quite I don't want to say late point in my life. I'm mid-40s. What the fuck? When did that happen? But yeah, I just want to do. Recently, does me drinking a beer. Oh, okay. Strange quiz. That was good to know. But yeah, it's like my whole skill tree is changing, and I'm just like, I feel like a beginner again. And I'm super excited to be doing some YouTube stuff. I've got some big, long, burny projects on the go. And I'm trying to do, I don't know, like, I mean, I'm not trying to say you're not going to see a listicle from me, but, like, I'm trying to do stuff differently. And there's so much I haven't told, and there's so much I haven't said, and there's so much I haven't done. I've got tons of stuff coming up. And I don't want to soft announce it now. But yeah, there's some cool shit. But the problem, what I'm trying to say is that cool shit should have all been done by now. so all that cool shit was on my get this done before your second year on YouTube ends. And I failed. And it's like, I've so failed, but I know it's not entirely my fault, and there's so much going on. And this is it now. It's do or die. So for me, I will occasionally hype a Patreon. And Helen, thank you for hyping my videos. I've never hyped a video on YouTube before. If any of you want to know how this works, very quickly, I think you have to use the YouTube app. You can press, I think you're only allowed a limited number of hypes. I haven't hyped a video. I've never seen the option to do so. I don't know how it works. I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, I really don't know what's going on, but I really don't know what's going on. But I know there's a hype thing. press hype. Hype my videos if you can. You haven't noticed Feldus' life does weird stuff. Yeah, totally. And it's weird. There's so many weird things that don't really make sense. And I'm going to go on to the after party. And the first thing that I'm going to say is, and it's not always like this. And you haven't failed, you rescheduled, yeah. But yeah, there's tons of things that I hope to have gotten done. Actually, there's like 3 big things, and they are cool. And you guys are going to be like, holy shit, I haven't seen that on YouTube before. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it's not because I'm trying to bite off big stuff. It's just, but yes, it is a safe space because Mike is transitioning. But yeah, if you hype my videos, I think what happens is they go into a hype list or something, or another leader. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know. I know you have to use the YouTube app on a phone or a computer or something. I've never seen the option to do so. As soon as I do, I'll let you know. Count on it. But I don't know. I don't know anything about the hype thing. But I know I've gotten hypes, and I can see there's some hype buttons. Thank you, Soup. Thank you, Helen. Helen, I didn't even realize hype was enabled on my channel, but apparently it is. I don't know. And if it wasn't for my patrons and everything, then I wouldn't be doing this incredibly scary thing. And I'm incredibly scary. It is incredibly scary. I'm incredibly scared. She wants to give all they do at once and do it now. Exactly. And it is just me. I'm not saying it's just me, like making content and these things that are currently just in my head. I have barely talked about with Nina. That's how early a lot of this stuff is. No, report is the wrong thing. You appear to be searching for the like button. Well, I tried to hype other creators or other videos. I haven't seen the option to do so. I have looked for it, And literally this happened like yesterday or the day before. Helen mentioned something on my last video, and I literally went looking to hype, and I couldn't hype anything for anyone. I think the video has to be recent. So yeah, so I'm just letting you know all this stuff is happening. I wish I had all the time to do all the things, and I know you've heard that from other people before, but because for me this is like not just YouTube. There's a whole other thing. Thank you, Charlie. Big ace hug. I don't know if that was a good thing to say or not. But like basically, you know, I'm trying to do all this stuff. So none of this would be possible without folks watching my videos, liking, subscribing, sharing. Those things help grow YouTube, and by being members of the Scratching Post Discord community, literally $1 a week US. That's on the lowest tier. I have some stuff to come up. I've got a video to post, Reading Tuesday. I got a thing. Oh, I know. Do I want to show you? I will show you. Okay. That's a clue. No. That's a clue. Okay. I got a thing. This is related to Tuesday, day of the week. So Saber's like, what the hell is that? So if you want to find out, stay tuned. But this is a Patreon thing. That's not going to be on YouTube. It's not a mustache. It's not a furry cat suit. It's got nothing to do with cats. And nothing to do with frogs. Nothing to do with tails. No. That's better. So yeah, there's tons of stuff. If you want to find out what this is about, check Patreon pretty soon. I'm going to post the video soon. I'm going to post the video soon. It's going to be funny. No, Saber. No. No. Saves. This is my familiar. That is a clue. Oh, Blaharj is coming. So, you want to know about plushie video? I have tried to do something really cool, but it involves writing to somebody's agent. And agents are really bad at getting back to you when you're trying to communicate with like people with agents. I do not have an agent. Like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, communicating with people's agents is a nightmare. But the plushie video is really coming. Thank you very much for your submissions. Oh, there are multiple things. Wednesday for sure. Witchy stuff. Those are braids. Okay, all right. Fern Brady. Okay, Fern Brady. That's funny. Ha ha ha. Right. Yeah. So we're gonna. Oh, Agent X, I'm so sorry. 19 years. Oh, I'm so sorry you lost your void. That's impressive. 19 years is impressive. 19 years are impressive. Agents are off people. No, I wasn't saying you obviously. But yeah, basically there's lots of new amazing things. Oh, is Plushie Pit delayed because of some lollygagging? Lollygagging, I don't understand what lollygagging means. I have heard it many times. I don't know what it means. But yeah, there will be a Plushie Pit, well remembered. There is a large number of things all happening. And when the ABA video is out, that will free up a lot of time in order to do other things. Oh, not being useful or productive. No. No, not at all. I actually want to schedule in some lollygagging time. Wednesday morning has become my sleep time in. I just sleep. Yeah, this boy here, this is Saber. He is now... well, you arrived here in 2015, early 2015. So we've known each other for over 10 years. And he has become my familiar. I can empathize. I'm sorry. I really can. So yes, I will see some of you on the saves. No. Come back to attacking my book. I'll see some of you on the after party, probably in 5 minutes. This where the action gonna be. I'll see you there. All tears work. That's it. That's the URL right there. And I'll see you in a bit. Sabes. He's meowing at me.
In the darkest night she takes flight, a fluffy force, a beacon of light, with a man of fury and a heart so pure. Hydra the cat, ready to endure. Oh yeah, she prowls the land with eyes of gold. Hydra the cat, ready to endure. Oh yeah, she prowls the land with eyes of gold. A guardian she's. Hydra reminds us all to hydrate on the gold. Hydra the kid with the fiery roar. She's here to rock our souls to the core, to the core. In our pulse we'll find that connection so free. Hydra the cat, reminding us to be rockin' free. With her mighty tail she sweeps the night. Crosses from legs, a regal sight. To the nation so free. Hydra the cat, reminding us to be with a mighty tail. She sweeps the night, crosses from legs, a regal sight. On the screen, she's fierce and bright. Hydra the cat, a guiding light. Hydra with the cat, don't you forget. Stay refreshed, no regret. With every scene, we feel alive. Hydra the cat, we try. Her flow of shield, her eyes of fire. In her presence, we find no desire. Through battles fall and stories told. Hydra's heart, pure and bold. A drink the name, a playful jest, but it's the way she's at her best. Reminding us to drink and play. Hydra leads us every day. Hydra the cat, reminding us to be rocking free. Hydra the cat, reminding us to be rocking free. Under the moon, her kingdom shines bright. With kittens in tow, she's a powerful sight. With the warriors, an army of night. Hydra lead them through the darkest night. In a vein of fury, a beacon of light. Her heart so pure, a guardian in flight. From dusk till dawn, they chase and play. Hydra and her kittens, rocking every day. Hydra, the king with the fiery roar. Yeah, the kittens are here to rock our souls to the core. To the core. In their paws we find a connection so free. Hydra leads them through the darkest night. In our mane of fury, a beacon of light. Her heart so pure, a guardian in flight. From dusk till dawn, they chase and play. Hydra and her kittens rocking every day. Hydra, the killer with the fiery roar. The kittens are here to rock our souls to the core. To the core. In our paws we find a connection so free. Hydra and her army, rocking eternally. Hydra the cat, reminding